Hello everyone, if you're new to my channel, consider liking and subscribing. It will make me feel wonderful if you do that. Thanks. By the way, I also have another Naruto and Luffy fanfiction channel. If you are interested, link is in the description.
One Piece, The Fire Within, by XFangHeartX. What starts out as a normal exploration turns into a fight for Luffy's life when an evil dragon named Kovar suddenly abducts him. In order to save him, the Straw Hats must go somewhere they have never gone before. Inside their captain's memories. Huge shout out to all the warlords of this channel. You know who you are. Want to stand among legends? Join the channel membership and show your support. Adios.
Yes, Ica cheered. He did it. Big brother beat the butler guy. Yeah, Luffy's unstoppable, Kumi added. Serves him right, Usopp added as he watched Kuro fall, to the Black Cat pirate's shock. I don't believe it, that kid actually beat Captain Kuro. Kuro of 1,000 plans, the man who managed to outsmart the Marines. Beaten by this scrawny runt. Hey, kid. Who the hell are you, anyway? A pause. Before Luffy turned to the Black Cat pirates with a confident grin. The name's Monkey D. Luffy, he said. You think I'm one to let someone who gave up on being a pirate beat me? You tell him, big brother, Ica added. A real pirate would die before he'd do either the things this guy did. Luffy declared. You all better remember my name. Because someday, I'm gonna be king of the pirates. Hearing that caused the Black Cat pirates to balk in disbelief. Now do me a favor, Luffy said as he picked up Kuro. Get out, and take your trash with you. He then hurled the Black Cat pirate captain at the pirates, who screamed as they turned and fled, some being mindful to take those who were injured. And don't you ever show your faces around here again, Luffy shouted. Ha 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 ha. Usopp laughed. Look at him run. Hey, I think I saw some of them soil themselves. Sanji added before he also joined in laughing at the Black Cat pirates. What a bunch of sissies. Frankie chimed in. They actually took Kuro with them, Chopper asked. But why? He said he'd kill them. Because Kuro was right, Blizzard answered. Those pirates are nothing but simple-minded sheep. And Kuro is their shepherd. Without him, they can't function properly. Just then, Luffy began to collapse, the adrenaline subsiding as the pain from his wounds began to settle in. Luckily for him, though, past Nami was there to catch him. You did a pretty good job back there, she said. Ah, Ica and Kumi cooed while Nami smiled a bit as she watched her past self gently lay Luffy on the ground. HMPH. Who'd have thought that even the great and mighty Luffy would collapse from blood loss? Past Nami mused. I guess that proves that in the end, you really are human. He sure is, Chopper agreed. So, what made you so pissed off in the first place? Asked past Nami. I hate that bastard, Luffy answered. They're nothing but garbage. Past Nami raised her eyebrow before she sighed. Well, you shouldn't be so surprised, she said. Not many pirates have morals like you do. A pause, until the Straw Hats heard Luffy's stomach rumble. I want some meat, he said, which caused past Nami to sigh in exasperation. Good grief, she muttered. Soon, the memory ended right there. You know, I didn't think it was possible for me to hate Kuro more than I did, that day, Usopp said. But hearing him say he was going to kill his own men, even if the plan did succeed. I gotta wonder what he was even thinking, he really was sick. Luffy gave him a fitting punishment, Nami said. If Kuro hated being a pirate so much, then Luffy gave him a fate worse than death, in my opinion. Serves him right, Sanji added as another memory appeared. This one showing Luffy eating in the same restaurant that past Usopp brought him, past Zoro, and past Nami too. For some reason, Luffy was searching around for something in his mouth until he finally pulled it out, a fishbone. Bawa, he gasped. Got it. This thing was poking my cheek. You really ought to work on eating fish bones, said past Zoro. You know, past Nami began as she held up a fish skeleton. Normally, people don't eat this part. That's not true, Sanji said. You just have to pulverize the bones into dust. Well, we're done eating, past Zoro said. Should we get going? Yeah, I think so, Luffy answered, gnawing on the fishbone, but just before they were about to do so, someone else entered the restaurant. It was Kaya, who looked a bit livelier than she did when the Straw Hats first saw her in earlier memories. There you are, She exclaimed. "Oh, hey there, Kaya," Luffy greeted. "How goes it?" "Shouldn't you be resting?" asked past Nami in concern. "Oh, don't worry about me," Kaya assured. "I'm just fine. You see, I was never really sick to begin with. This so-called illness I had, it was really the shock and sadness of my parents passing. It's because of Usopp that I was able to keep my spirits. But I realize now that I can't depend on people forever." The Straw Hats, both past and present, all smiled at this. "So," Kaya began, "it's my understanding that you three need a ship, am I right?" "Oh," Luffy exclaimed, excitedly. "Are you gonna give us one?" Kaya nodded. "It's the least I could do everything you've done." Some of the Straw Hats, particularly Zoro, Nami, Usopp, Sanji, Robin, Chopper, and even Frankie gaped, realizing what this meant. As the memory shifted again, the Straw Hats found themselves standing at a cape, staring at a familiar ship, the Going Merry. "Behold!" exclaimed Kaya's other butler, Merry, the Going Merry. "Whoa!" Luffy exclaimed. "A caravel," past Nami said in awe. "Sweet," past Zoro grinned. "Merry," Usopp whispered with tears in his eyes. "She looks like new," said Nami, trying to hold back her tears. "So this was the Going Merry," Brook said. "I do say, she does look quite beautiful, doesn't she? Little Lamb takes after her." "You mean Mini Merry?" asked Aika. "Wait, what happened to the Thousand Sunny?" Kumi asked. "Yeah, I thought we always had Sunny," Blizzard added. "We didn't have Sunny back then," Chopper answered. "Merry was our first ship, before she was." He then trailed off and sighed, which caused Robin to gently pet him on the head, which caused him to look up and smile at her. "She's not the latest model," Merry said, "but I designed her, myself. She's a caravel with a jib and a central stern rudder." He then looked to the original trio. "So you're the ones who chased off the Black Cat pirates? Honestly, I thought you'd be a little taller." "You're really gonna give us this new ship?" Luffy asked. "Indeed," said Kaya. "I hope you accept it. Let me explain the rigging," said Merry to Luffy. "First, regarding the adjustment of the yard with the clue garnet and—" Excuse me," past Nami called. "You're talking to the wrong person, I'm the navigator." The Straw Hats chuckled a bit at this. "What a cool ship," Luffy said as he looked up at the Merry. "I stocked it with everything you all might need at sea," said Luffy. "Gee, thanks," Luffy said. "You sure are adding insult to injury, huh, Miss Kaya?" "I think you mean, adding icing to the cake," past Zoro pointed out. "WHOAA." The trio turned to see something huge rolling towards them. "What's that?" asked Chopper. "A boulder. Somebody stop me!" cried a familiar voice. "Oh, my gosh," Kaya cried. "It's Usopp." Indeed, it was past Usopp, rolling down the slope with a giant backpack strapped to him. "Usopp, why did you have such a huge backpack in the first place?" Nami asked. I overpacked." Usopp's sweat dropped. "What's he doing, now?" asked Luffy. "Dunno," past Zoro answered, "but we better stop him before he hits the ship." On that, they both raised their legs and ended up stopping past Usopp right in his tracks, and they ended up stamping their feet against his face. "Thanks, guys." Past Usopp groaned. "Anytime," Luffy said. "Did you seriously have to use your feet?" Usopp asked as he side-eyed Zoro, who only shrugged. After getting his backpack off, past Usopp had announced his departure to Kaya, who seemed saddened at this news. "So you're really leaving?" asked Kaya. "Yep," past Usopp answered. "I have to act now before I change my mind. Don't try and stop me, Kaya." "Honestly," Kaya began, "I knew this day was coming, and I have a feeling I couldn't be able to stop you if I wanted to anyway, right?" "Yeah," past Usopp answered. "Just you wait, Kaya. When I come back, I'll have lots of stories to tell you, and this time, they'll all be 100% true to it." Kaya smiled, before she went up and kissed him on his cheek, causing him to tense up and blush a bit, while Luffy, past Zoro, and past Nami all snickered. Even the present Straw Hats chuckled a bit at this while Usopp found himself blushing as well. "Not your girlfriend, huh?" asked Frankie. "Shut up, Frankie," Usopp barked. "It was just one kiss on the cheek. It's not like I kissed her on the mouth." Soon, past Usopp put his baggage in a dinghy before he looked up at Luffy, who was standing at the stern of the Mary. "Well, good luck out there, you guys," he called. "I hope we meet again, one day." "But why?" Luffy asked. "Huh?" Past Usopp asked. "What do you mean, why? You have no manners at all, do you? I mean, since we're pirates, it'd make sense for us if we saw each other again out at sea and—" "Will you just shut up and get on board, already?" asked Past Zoro. Wah? Past Usopp asked. "Come on," Luffy said. "We're friends, right?" A pause. But then Past Usopp grinned before he jumped into the air excitedly. "Yes," he cheered. "I finally get to be a pirate captain." "Yeah, right," Luffy shouted. "I'm the captain, here." On that, the memory shifted once again, and the Straw Hats soon found Luffy, holding up a black cloth, with what looked like a poorly painted version of their Jolly Roger. "Yes," Luffy exclaimed. "I did it, I made our new mark." "Is that really what Luffy wanted our flag to look like?" Blizzard asked in disgust. "Unfortunately, yes," Zoro answered. "I put a lot of thought into it," Luffy said, "and I decided that this is gonna be our new flag. What do you guys think?" "Wow. Your art skills suck, man," Past Usopp said, bluntly. "And now, hang on a second," Past Nami said with a thoughtful expression. "Maybe the mark is supposed to look something like abstract art." "I never thought you'd have an eye for art," Nami, Robin mused. "Well, during my time as a thief, I kind of saw some pretty neat artwork," Nami said. "Well," Past Zoro started, "they say that the Jolly Roger is supposed to strike fear into the hearts of our enemies." "I hate to say it," Aika began, "but that looks really bad." "Meh," Kumi shrugged. "I've seen worse." "Hang on a sec," Past Usopp said. "Let me try something." After a while, he came back with a new mark. Only it was a Jolly Roger that used his face for a skull and a slingshot for one of the crossbows. "So, what do you think?" Past Usopp asked. "Are you kidding?" Luffy questioned as both he and Past Zoro bopped him on the head. "Who said it had to be your mark?" "Man, you had a real ego problem," Frankie said. "As funny as that was," Brook began, "that was also quite disrespectful." "I know," Usopp said. "Man, I wonder how Luffy even dealt with me." A bit later, the quartet found themselves surrounded the mark that they all knew and loved. The proper Straw Hat Pirates Jolly Roger. "There," said Past Usopp. "How's that? Now that's much better," Past Nami exclaimed. "It looks like it's brand new," Past Zoro mused. She, Luffy laughed. "It's perfect. Hey, let's paint it on the sail, too." "The sail?" Past Usopp asked. Okay, sure. Besides, I spent years painting on walls of my neighbors' houses. How hard can painting on a sail be?" A bit later than that, the sniper had finally finished painting the Jolly Roger on the sail and was panting heavily as he lied on the deck. "I did it," he rasped. "Yes," Luffy cheered. "We got a new ship and a new Jolly Roger. Can this day get any better?" "How about we make it official?" Past Nami asked. "So, what exactly do we call ourselves?" I dunno," Luffy answered. "How about the Straw Hat Pirates?" Past Zoro suggested. "The Straw Hat Pirates?" Past Usopp repeated. "Think about it," Past Zoro said. "I mean, our captain wears a straw hat and our mark has a straw hat. Do the math." "Straw Hat Pirates." Luffy repeated before he grinned broadly. Yeah, it's perfect." "You know, it does have a nice ring to it," Past Nami agreed. "Well, not as nice a ring as Usopp Pirates," Past Usopp began, "but you know, who cares?" "The Straw Hat Pirates it is," Luffy exclaimed. "Let's break out the drinks," Past Zoro said as he put down a barrel and 4 mugs of beer. Wait," Luffy said, "I don't drink alcohol." "You don't?" Past Nami asked. "Come to think of it," Nami began, "I've never seen Luffy drink even a lick of booze." "Yeah, you're right," Zoro agreed. "He usually gives it to me, rather than drinks it." "One drink won't hurt," Past Zoro said as he handed Luffy a mug while Past Nami and Past Usopp took mugs of their own. "Now come on, Captain, start the toast." Yeah, sure," Luffy exclaimed before he held up his mug. "Here's to us, the Straw Hat Pirates." "Cheers," the quartet exclaimed as they all clinked mugs. And with that, The Straw Hat Pirates were officially formed. How touching, Brooke whispered with tears coming out of his eye sockets. BWAH, Frankie sobbed. What a moving story. I ain't crying, ya jerks. The official founding of the Straw Hat crew, Blizzard smiled, fondly. I didn't know that Zoro was the one who came up with our pirate name, Aika said. What can I say? Zoro asked. It just hit me. Well, who knew you were so creative? Robin smiled, which caused her boyfriend to chuckle with a light blush on his cheeks. I guess. Luffy was kind of an inspiration, Zoro answered, and that's when a new memory soon appeared. It was nighttime, and the Mary had been anchored for the night to keep from drifting. The Straw Hats noticed Luffy lying on his stomach on the figurehead as he looked up at the starry sky with this wistful expression on his face. Hey, Mom, Luffy said. Hey, Sabo. I know it's been a while since we last talked, but I just thought I'd see how you guys are doing. The Straw Hats felt a momentary pang of sadness, because this reminded them for the time being. Luffy really believed that Sabo had died and was somewhere up in heaven with Star. So, I got a crew, now, Luffy exclaimed. There's Zoro, and he's a swordsman who uses 3 swords, and Nami, our navigator. And between you and me, I think she's kinda pretty. Nami blushed at the comment while Robin, Aika, and Kumi giggled. Oh, and there's Usopp, too, Luffy added. He's a liar. Did he really think that lying was my only profession, back then? Usopp deadpanned while Blizzard snickered a bit. And we got a ship, too, Luffy said as he rubbed his hands on Mary's head. See, this is the going Mary, isn't she great? There was no response, except for a slight twinkling of the stars, which made Luffy smile. She, he laughed. I know I should be asleep, right now, but I'm just so excited. My tummy feels all warm and my heart won't stop beating so fast. The Straw Hats all chuckled softly. Hey, Mom, Luffy asked. Can you and Sabo do me a favor? I know it sounds like a lot to ask, but could you look after Ace for me, too? The Straw Hats gasped silently. He left home 3 years before I did, Luffy said. I heard he got a bounty and a crew of his own and all, but I don't know how he's doing these days. I hope I'll find him out there. He's probably out in the Grand Line by now. Oh, I hope he didn't find the One Piece yet. Oh, that would make me so mad. A pause. But then Luffy sighed. Nah, who am I kidding? He asked. I know Ace wouldn't do that to me. He knows how much being king of the pirates means to me. Of course he does. Sanji whispered, he's your brother. Luffy then let out a yawn before he got up and walked away from the figurehead, heading towards the men's quarters, but not before he turned back at the stars and smiled again. Good night, Mom, he said. Good night, Sabo. I'll talk to you again, soon. On that, he headed inside to sleep, and the memory went black. Even back when he was just starting out, Zoro began. Luffy would still worry about Ace, just like how Ace would worry about him. Big brother is so thoughtful. Ikomeware inside. Luffy still wanted to be in a pirate crew with Ace and Sabo, Nami said, but it was probably better if he had a crew of his own. Why's that? Chopper asked. Luffy can't depend on his brothers forever, Chopper, said Sanji. I think Ace knew that, and that might also be why he decided they would go out to sea, separately. Ace sure was a smart one, Brooke said. Makes me wish I got to meet him, personally. The memory shifted and it was now daytime. Luffy was out on the deck with past Zoro and past Usopp, trying to fire a cannon at a rock in the water. What's he doing with that cannon? Kumi asked. Oh. Usopp muttered with dread. I remember this. What? Blizzard asked. What happened here? Yeah, Usopp, what happened? Chopper queried. Just keep watching, answered Usopp. What are you up to, now, Luffy? Past Zoro asked, annoyed that his nap had been disturbed. Cannon practice, Luffy answered. I'm trying to hit that rock out there, but I can't make the cannon shoot far enough. You've gotta be kidding, past Usopp said as he gently pushed Luffy aside. Here, let me take a crack at it. Okay, Luffy answered as he pointed at the rock. See that rock? See if you can shoot it. Just watch and learn, past Usopp boasted as he adjusted the cannon. Okay. Just a hair to the right and… Perfect. He then lit the fuse. Fire. Kaboom! The cannon fired and destroyed the rock with one shot. Wow, Luffy exclaimed. You hit it on your first shot. I did? Past Usopp questioned. Yeah, of course I did. What can I say? I'm an ace when it comes to shooting. So, how about you go ahead and call me Captain now? Nah, Luffy answered. I think sniper works better. Usopp scratched the back of his head. I was really bad back then, huh? He asked. Pretty much, Zoro said with a shrug. Yep, Nami agreed. Wow, Usopp said. You don't sugarcoat anything, do ya? Nope, Sanji answered. A while later, the quartet was now in the kitchen, sitting around the table. Past Nami was writing in the crew's journal and Past Zoro was lounging against the wall while Luffy and Past Usopp sat next to each other. Fine, Past Usopp said. You can be the captain for now, but if you ever feel like you can't cut the mustard, then I'll have to take over, got that? Sure, Luffy shrugged. Usopp had to groan. He couldn't believe how egotistical and disrespectful he was toward Luffy, back then. It made him glad that he joined up with Luffy, but if he had joined anyone else, he would have easily gotten the boot. What made it a bit more unnerving was that Luffy seemed to accept it so easily. He didn't know if he was actually humoring him or not. Hey, I've been thinking, Luffy exclaimed. There's still one more position we need before we head to the Grand Line. Well, this kitchen has all the equipment, Past Nami said. I'd be glad to help out, for a price, of course. Now it was Nami's turn to groan while Robin gently assured with a pat on her shoulder and Aika gave her a hug. Good idea, said Past Zoro. That skill's essential for a long voyage. Then it's decided, Luffy exclaimed. What we need is a musician. What? The others questioned while the present Straw Hats burst out into laughter. Just when I thought you would say something smart for once, Past Nami shouted. This is piracy, not a pleasure cruise, you moron, Past Zoro barked. Well, pirates like to party, don't they? Luffy asked. I think Luffy spent a little too much time with Shanks, Blizzard smirked. Yo-ho-ho-ho, Brook laughed. I do say, I never thought Mr. Luffy wanted a musician so eagerly, honestly, I feel a bit honored. She, Aika laughed. Big brother is so silly. Hey, you bastards, a voice shouted. Get out here and fight me, I'll slice you all to ribbons. What the hell was that? Luffy questioned as a ruckus soon started outside. Oh, no, Zoro muttered. Don't tell me. That's when Luffy came out and saw a young man with sunglasses and a dark blue jacket. Who's that? Aika asked. One of my old bounty hunter friends, Johnny, said Zoro. Come to think of it, I wonder what he and Yosaku have been up to. I haven't seen them for a while. Hey, Luffy shouted. Who the hell are you? What's it to you who I am? Johnny asked as he swung his sword at Luffy, who dodged the attack and easily landed behind him. I've claimed the bounties of the world's most infamous pirates, Johnny scowled. How dare you nobodies? Try and kill my partner. What partner? Luffy asked before he jumped over Johnny again and grabbed him by the head. Sorry, pal. But I can't let you destroy our new ship, on that. He hurled the bounty hunter over his head and slammed him into the wall. Johnny cried in pain as blood sprayed from his mouth and nose before he collapsed on the ground. Damn it. Phew. Luffy sighed as he caught his hat in his hand after it went flying into the air. What the hell was that all about anyways? What's going on, Luffy? Past Zoro asked as he came outside. Need some help out here? He then glanced down at the defeated Johnny. What the? Johnny, tell me that isn't you. Huh? Johnny asked in surprise before he got to his feet, as if Luffy's beating never happened. Zoro, big bro Zoro, it's you. What are you doing here? Asked Past Zoro. And where the hell is Yosaku? Big bro, it's terrible, cried Johnny. Yosaku, he's dying. What? Past Zoro questioned. Where the hell is he? Soon, Johnny brought another young man aboard. A man in a green long coat and wearing one of those helmets that boxers would wear around their faces. His skin was very pale and there was blood dripping out of his mouth. Almost instantly, Chopper gasped in horror upon seeing the poor man. He has scurvy, the little reindeer cried. Scurvy? Kumi repeated. It's a common disease that sailors can get if they don't have enough vitamin C, Chopper cried. What's wrong with him? Luffy asked. He was just fine until a few days ago, Johnny began. Then all of a sudden, he got all pale and was just randomly passing out. I don't know what happened, his teeth are falling out and he's bleeding from old scars that shouldn't even hurt him anymore. He then put a hand to his forehead, trying to fight back tears. I didn't know what I could do for him, so I took him to rest on a rock in the middle of the sea. Then out of nowhere, someone shot at us. Luffy and past Usopp both gasped in horror before they looked at each other with worry, then bowed their heads. We're sorry, they cried. Don't worry about it, Johnny said, tearfully. I know it was an accident, now. But what can apologies do? Yosaku and I have been building our reputation for a long time, now. He's my trusted partner. No, he's like my brother. We've hunted pirates together for years, now, if Yosaku dies, what have I got to live for? Man, Zoro said, this almost makes me miss those two. Wahhh, Frankie sobbed. Again. What a great guy, worrying for his partner like that. Quit being so stupid. Past Nami shouted. What did you say? Past Zoro questioned, angrily. How dare you make light of this, girl, Johnny cried, but past Nami only sighed and pointed to the kitchen. Luffy, Usopp, she said. There are some limes in the kitchen. Squeeze them and bring out the juice. Luffy and past Usopp only stared blankly. Did I stutter? Past Nami questioned. Get moving. Ah. Yes, ma'am. Luffy and past Usopp cried as they ran to get the limes, but in their haste, they accidentally ended up getting wedged in the door. Ah. Usopp. Move your butt. Luffy yelled. You move yours, past Usopp barked before they both fell into the kitchen. After a while, they returned with some lime juice, which they proceed to pour into Yosaku's mouth while past Usopp held up his head. During that time, past Nami explained Yosaku's illness to past Zoro and Johnny, who were both relieved that he was going to live. Exclaimed. It's like you're a doctor or something. I always knew you were pretty smart, past Usopp smirked. Are you kidding me? Past Nami questioned. These are basic things you need to know if you expect to survive at sea, dumbasses. They were really stupid back then, huh? Chopper asked. Yeah, pretty much, Nami agreed. That's when Yosaku stood up, just whooping and hollering. Yahoo, I'm cured. He cheered, and soon, Luffy, past Usopp, and Johnny also rejoiced. He does know scurvy isn't something that's cured right away, doesn't he? Chopper asked. What do you think, Chopper? Zoro inquired. Man, talk about stupid, Blizzard muttered. Will you idiots settle down? Past Nami shouted, and after things simmered down, the two bounty hunters introduced themselves. The name's Johnny, said Johnny. And I'm Yosaku, Yosaku added, holding a cigarette in his fingers. What is he doing? Chopper questioned. He's not supposed to smoke when he has scurvy. That's Yosaku, Zoro said. Stubborn to the end. Kinda like a certain cook I know. Zip it. Sanji snarled. We're Big Bro Zoro's old bounty hunting friends, said Yosaku. A pleasure to meet all of you. I don't know how I could ever thank you guys for your help. I thought for sure I was done for. He will be a goner if he doesn't rest, Chopper yelled. I still can't believe it, Johnny said. Big Bro Zoro is a pirate, now. Yeah, well. You see, past Zoro started, but then, out of nowhere, Yosaku ended up coughing up blood. Yosaku! Johnny cried. Lie down and get some rest, you dumb ass, past Zoro barked. Thank you, Chopper yelled. Wow, I never thought I'd agree with Zoro about that. Not one to take it easy, is he? Brook asked with a sweat drop. That guy really is a dumb ass, Blizzard muttered. The memory shifted once more, and Luffy, past Zoro, past Nami, and past Usopp were all sitting around, having a small discussion of what to do next. So, what have we learned? Past Nami asked. A long voyage on the seas is fraught with all kinds of dangers, said past Zoro. Yeah, agreed past Usopp. Zoro's old buddies would have been dead if we hadn't shown up. Technically, you shot at them, Frankie pointed out. Yes, Frankie, I know, Usopp sneered. We still need someone who can actually put the foodstuffs we got in storage to good use, the sniper's past self pointed out. What we need around here is a cook. Usopp's right, concurred past Nami. Having a cook on board a ship is absolutely necessary. Oh, yeah, a cook, Luffy realized. And soon after, his stomach growled long and hard, causing the Straw Hats, past and present, to sweat drop while Robin and Ika giggled. I think that settles it, Past Zoro said. It's decided then, Luffy exclaimed with his tongue sticking out of his mouth. Let's go get a cook for our crew. Besides, what good is a ship if we can't have any decent grub around here? Oh, big bro, Johnny exclaimed as he raised his hand, like a student waiting to be picked by his teacher. What is it, Johnny? Past Zoro asked. If you need a cook, Johnny said, then I know where you guys can find one, but getting him to join you guys is easier said than done. Wait a minute, Sanji said. I think I know where this is going. There's this seafaring restaurant called the Barati, Johnny said. I guarantee that's where you'll find a cook for your crew. A seafaring restaurant? The 4 Straw Hats asked, though Past Zoro sounded skeptic. You bet, Johnny answered. It's only 2 or 3 days of sailing from this exact spot, but I'd watch it, if I were you. It's pretty close to the Grand Line and some pretty rough customers frequent the place. He then looked over to Past Zoro. And get this, big bro Zoro. They say that guy you were looking for, Hawkeye, sometimes goes there, too. Hearing the name, Hawkeye, caused Past Zoro to tense up while Johnny walked past him. If you want, I can take you all there, he offered. Yes, please, Luffy, Past Nami, and Past Usopp exclaimed eagerly while the memory faded to black. Wait, who's Hawkeye? Ika asked. Dracule, Hawkeye, Mahawk, Robin answered. He's one of the 7 warlords of the sea, and is currently the world's greatest swordsman. World's greatest swordsman? Chopper repeated. Wait, Zoro, that's what you're trying to be. So if what Mr. Johnny said is true about this Hawkeye fellow, Brook began, does that mean you attempted to fight him, here? Yep, Zoro said, although he didn't give the little reindeer and the skeleton any contact. What's wrong with you? Asked Nami. Nothing, okay, Zoro asked. What is it, seriously? Nami asked. Nothing, Zoro barked. Drop it, all right. Hey, don't yell at Nami like that, Sanji shouted. Who do you think you are? Enough, already, Robin chided. Look, whatever questions we have, I'm sure Zoro will answer them when he's ready. I don't have to, Zoro answered as another memory appeared, and the Straw Hats soon saw a familiar ship before them. No, more like a familiar restaurant, the Barati. Wow, Ika exclaimed. It's a big fishy. That's the Barati, Ika, Sanji smiled. It's my home. Wow, Sanji, Ika said. You mean you got to live in a restaurant? I didn't just live there, Sanji answered. I was the sous chef. The sous? Ika repeated. The sous chef is like the second in command in the kitchen, said Robin. He helps the head chef cook all the meals and also tells the other cooks what to do. Hey, Ika realized. I'm kinda like that, right, Sanji? I help you out in the kitchen and make sure Big Brother doesn't steal the food when you're not looking. You sure do, Sanji smiled as he gently pet Ika on the head. You're my little sous chef, Ika. She, Ika giggled while Kumi went up and licked the Straw Hat Cook's face, causing him to laugh. Okay, he exclaimed. Cut it out, Kumi, you're getting puppy drool on me. There it is, Johnny exclaimed. The seafaring restaurant. Big bro Zoro, big bro Luffy, big bro Usopp, and big sis Nami, wake up. Who said you call me big sis? Past Nami asked in irritation. Yeah, I thought I could only call big sis Nami, Ika added. Don't worry, Ika, Nami assured as she gave Ika a hug. I'm still your big sis. Whoa, Luffy exclaimed as he spotted the Barati. That's a huge fish. Amazing, Past Nami added. It's so cool, shouted Past Usopp. However, at that moment, another ship suddenly sailed past the group, bearing the marine insignia on its sail. Whoa, Past Usopp exclaimed. It's a marine ship. Where'd it come from? Asked Luffy. I dunno, Past Usopp answered, nervously. I just hope they don't shoot us. Why shoot at us? Johnny asked as he ducked behind the rail with Yosaku. We're not pirates. Hey, look, Yosaku exclaimed. Who's that guy in the fancy suit? Everyone looked up to see a man wearing a light blue, pinstriped suit and lavender hair, and for some reason, it looked as if a metal brace had been literally screwed into his knuckles. Who's that? Ika asked, slightly nervous. That's Marine Lieutenant Full Body, Nami said. Also called Iron Fist, Full Body. Although I hear that they got demoted to seaman recruit after Luffy kicked his ass. Damn, Frankie cursed. What happened to his hands? Yeesh. Blizzard grimaced. I swear, some Marines are so creepy, the way they modify their bodies. I mean, steel jaws, axes for hands, screws in their knuckles. We even ran into a guy with a robotic arm. Ah, I don't want to hear anymore. Chopper yelped as he put his hooves over his ears. La 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 la, I don't hear anything. HMPH, full body scoffed in disinterest. A few pirates. Unknowns. He then held up his fist. I am Lieutenant Iron Fist Full Body, a minister of the Marines. Which one of you is the captain? Speak your name. I'm Monkey D. Luffy. Luffy spoke up. We just made our pirate flag a couple days back. PSH. Johnny scoffed. A couple days actors, right Johnny? Yosaku laughed, which caused Zoro to sneer a bit, but he decided to let it slide. For now, anyway. And I'm Usopp, past Usopp added. Full body hummed as he noticed Johnny and Yosaku. You there? You look familiar. I think you visit the government agencies quite a lot, don't you? I believe you are Johnny and Yosaku. A couple of the 2-bit bounty hunters that roam the East Blue. So, you idiots finally got captured, and by some no-name pirates, no less? Hearing that caused the 2 bounty hunters to glare up at Full Body. Oh, no, both Zoros, past and present, groaned. Hey, Yosaku, said Johnny. I think this jackass just insulted us. 2-bit bounty hunters, eh? Yosaku asked. No one goes and calls us that. It's like stepping all over our honor. Maybe we can make Mr. Fancy Pants up there change his opinion. On that, they brandished their swords and let out loud battle cries. Prepare yourself, you marine dog. They yelled as they both rushed Full Body. And in a matter of seconds, they were back on the deck of the Mary, bloodied and bruised. Wow, Frankie muttered. Those guys were wusses. Yeah, but they were my wusses, Zoro concurred. Yo-ho-ho-ho, Brooke laughed. Wow, Luffy said, bluntly. You guys really are wimps, aren't you? It's not that. Yosaku denied. He's just, really strong. What are you idiots even doing? Asked past Zoro. Oh, Full Body, a voice called from the room behind the lieutenant. Quit playing with those sissy boys and let's go. Of course, love, Full Body grinned before he glared at the past Straw Hats. It's your lucky day, Pirate S bags. It just so happens it's my day off today and I've come here to dine with my company. But watch yourselves. If I ever see you again, you're all dead, hear me? What a jerk, Aika said. Aika, Nami scolded. What? Aika asked. He is. Luffy blinked down at Johnny and Yosaku before he glanced over at past Nami, who was looking at some wanted posters that the duo had dropped. For some reason, she was shaking and a bit sweaty, too. Nami? Luffy asked. You okay, huh? Past Nami muttered. Oh, yeah, I'm fine. Are you sure? Luffy asked. Yes, past Nami answered. Are you absolutely sure? Luffy started. What am I, on trial here? Past Nami questioned, causing Luffy to yelp as he stumbled back. She's lying. Something on the wanted poster scared her, but what? Nami, Robin asked. What was on the wanted poster that scared you so bad? Nami didn't answer, but instead looked away and chewed her lip. Arlong, Sanji said, causing Nami to look at him. It was Arlong's wanted poster, wasn't it? Yeah, Nami whispered. Oh, big sis, Aika said, sadly. It's okay, Aika, Nami smiled. I promise. If you say so, Aika said. But do let us know if you want to talk, Brooke added. Thanks, Nami nodded. I'll remember that. Ah, past Usopp screamed. Guys, they're aiming a cannon right at us. Everyone looked up and saw the Marines aiming a cannon at them from the aft, and soon after Full Body's order, it was fired at the Going Merry. Oh, no, they're shooting at us, past Usopp cried. I got this. Luffy exclaimed as he stood up on the railing and took a deep breath. Wait, Luffy. Past Zoro cried. Goom goom, balloon. He then inflated his stomach and caught the cannonball, to past Usopp's, Johnny's, Yosaku's, and Full Body's shock. Have this back, because we don't need it, Luffy shouted as he shot the cannonball back. Only for it blow a hole in the Baraties' roof. What the hell? Sanji questioned. So that's what happened to the roof that day. Sorry, Sanji, Nami apologized. How could you not know what happened? Asked Usopp. You were there. I was in the dining hall, serving people their meals. Sanji answered. I didn't know Luffy shot a cannonball at the restaurant. It was an accident, Zoro countered. I hope he didn't hurt anybody, Kumi said, worriedly as the memory shifted, only to see an old man wearing a very tall chef hat, a bloodied head, and a peg leg. Ah, he's got a peg leg. Hold it, Kumi, Blizzard called. I think he's always had that. Oh, Kumi realized. Ah, Luffy screamed. I blew your leg off. Quit your screaming, boy. The old man barked. Well, I'll be, Sanji said. It's old man Zeph. Zeph. Aika repeated before she looked up at Sanji. Sanji, he's your mentor, isn't he? That's right, Sanji answered before he chuckled. Wow. I never thought I'd say this, but I actually miss that crab geezer. After a while, Luffy calmed down after Zeph explained to him about his peg leg. The two were now sitting in the head chef's quarters, which had a big hole in the wall. So, you don't got any money, do you? Zeph asked. In that case, you'll have to work for me to pay off your debt. Sure, Luffy answered. I'll do it. It's decided then, Zeph said. You're gonna work here for me 1 year, then we'll call it even. What? Luffy questioned. A whole year? EHH? Aika shrieked in shock. Geez. Even I gotta admit that's kinda steep, Sanji muttered. Your boss sure didn't cut corners, did he? Frankie asked. Talk about being firm, Brook added. Gimme a break, Pops, Luffy said. I'll work for you for a week. Don't you try and insult me, boy, Zeph replied. Your witless bombardment damaged my establishment, not to mention, you injured me. 1 week isn't enough to make up for it. You're gonna work for me for 1 whole year, got that? No way, Luffy answered, defiantly. I waited 10 years to be a pirate, and I'm not waiting another year. You tell him, big brother, Aika shouted. That's my final offer, Luffy emphasized. Take it or leave it. You don't decide that, eggplant, Zeph shouted as he kicked Luffy in the throat with his peg leg, causing him to gag as he hit the wall. What I'll permit is up to me decide. Luffy coughed. You must be feeling better. Yeah, it'll take a lot more than a cannonball to kill that old timer, Sanji said. He used to be a pirate, after all. I believe it, Usopp concurred. Shut your mouth, Zeph yelled at Luffy before he gave an almost sinister grin. Fine, boy. Since your time seems to be so precious, I'll offer you a quick way out of this. He then held up a hacksaw. Gimme one of your legs and leave it here with me. Eep. Aika squeaked in fright before she fainted. Aika, Robin and Kumi. No thank you, Luffy declined. You're crazy, man. Okay, suddenly, I'm thinking about Grandpa. With the way he acts, I can see why, Blizzard agreed. By now, Zeph was getting frustrated before he leapt up into the air. What you want doesn't matter, kid, he shouted before he slammed his knees into Luffy, who cried out in pain. You know, it just hit me, Sanji said. I think the old man might have had hockey. Really? Zoro asked. I guess that explains why he can hit Luffy and damage him. Suddenly, the floor gave way, and before either Zeph or Luffy knew it, they both ended up falling through and into the dining room below. There, the Straw Hats could see full body. Only his face was covered in blood, and they also spotted someone else. A blonde-haired man with bangs of hair covering the left side of his head and wearing a fancy black suit. And the only kind of facial hair he had was a barely visible goatee, and for some reason, he was being held back by the other members of the Bharati staff. Hey, Sanji! Chopper exclaimed. That's you, hey, Sanji smirked. About time. Aika groaned as she woke up. What happened? Did Big Brother get his leg cut off? Nope, Kumi answered. Oh, and Sanji's here, really? Aika asked as she looked up and saw past Sanji. Oh, hey, it is him. Wait, Sanji, how come you look so angry? Well, you see that bowl of soup on the floor? Asked Sanji, pointing to a bowl of soup that had been spilled. Full body threw at the floor, to spite me. Oh, yeah, Chopio hated when people waste food. Yeah, and I got so pissed, I beat that crap marine, said Sanji with a scowl on his face. Boss, exclaimed one of the staff. What are you doing? Damn it, Zeph cursed as he looked up at the hole in the ceiling. That's another hole I have to fix. He then looked down at Luffy. This is all your fault, you brat. How is it my fault? Luffy questioned as he got in the head chef's face. You attacked me. Boss, shouted one of the cooks that was trying to hold past Sanji back. Can you stop screwing around and maybe give us a hand? Sanji's gone crazy, again. Huh? Zeph muttered before he finally noticed past Sanji. Sanji. Past Sanji gasped as he turned to face his employer. What do you think you're doing? Zeph questioned. Attacking the customers again, are you? Yeah, and this one was one of the Marines. No less, cried one of the staff members, which made past Sanji growl as he finally got himself free. Put a cork in it, old man, he barked. Oh, so now you're ordering me around, Zeph argued. Just who the hell do you think you're talking to? You want to sink my restaurant to the bottom of the sea, you punk? On that, he kicked past Sanji in the face with his peg leg. You and your boss certainly don't get along, do you? Brook asked. Well, not all the time, Sanji answered. He sure treated me better than he ever did. What? Nami asked. Nothing, Sanji replied as he took a drag of his cigarette and blew out a puff of smoke. Hey, Luffy called as he pointed at the bloody full body, who was chuckling at past Sanji getting beat up. I know that guy. He's the one who shot his cannon at us. Full body gasped before he looked up at Zeph, who glowered down at him. You, too, the head chef yelled. Get your ass out of my restaurant. Whack. He kicked the lieutenant in the face with his peg leg, too, to full body's shock. Geez, he doesn't go easy on anyone, huh? Asked Frankie. Nope, Sanji answered. Honestly, though, if he were a bit nicer, that would scare me. I'd ask if he was afraid of getting in trouble with the Marines, Usopp began. But you said he used to be a pirate, so it doesn't really matter to him, right? Not really, Sanji replied. How could you forget our motto that the customer is king? Questioned another one of the cooks, Patty. Only if they're willing to eat the slop you call food, past Sanji replied as he glared at his coworker. Patty, Sanji. Zeph ordered. If you two are gonna fight, fight in the kitchen, not out here. Lieutenant. Lieutenant full body. Everyone turned to see a Marine soldier. Only he was bleeding from his forehead. What happened to him? Chopper asked in surprise. Sir, I am sorry, he apologized. He escaped from the brig. Wow. Luffy whispered. This is a real madhouse, isn't it? Says the one who sometimes causes the madness, Blizzard said. The pirate from Don Krieg's crew. Cried the soldier. He's escaped. We were trying to question, but he beat 7 of us to death and then escaped. How is that possible? Full body questioned, although he coughed a bit from both past Sanji's and Zeph's beatings. When we captured him a few days ago, he was half dead from starvation, and we haven't fed him since. Hearing the name, Don Krieg, caused the whole room to clamor in shock and fear. Don Krieg? Of the Krieg pirates? They're the toughest pirates in the East Blue? Yeah, right, Aika denied. No one's tougher than my big brother. Okay, settle down, Missy, Sanji said. I'm sorry, Lieutenant, The soldier started, but then, kabang! He screamed in agony as a hole appeared in his chest. And not long after, he dropped to the floor as blood pooled around his body, and behind him stood a shadowy figure. Instantly, every patron in the restaurant screamed in terror, preparing to run for their lives if need be. Who's that? Aika asked, nervously. It's Jin, Sanji exclaimed, recognizing the man, instantly. Well, Patty sneered. Looks like we got us a customer. He better not try and bust up this place, too, Zeph warned. A pirate? Luffy asked in surprise, while past Sanji just nonchalantly blew out a puff of smoke. As for full body, he looked like he was about to soil himself while Jin staggered toward a table. Chopper worriedly eyed the man, taking a good few seconds to analyze him. The dark circles under his eyes, his pale skin, his skinniness. He knew that this man was greatly malnourished and close to death. Jin grunted as he sat down in a chair and propped his feet up on a table. Bring me some food, he demanded as he looked up. Come on, this is a restaurant, right? Hello and welcome, you damn crook, Patty said with mock politeness, to the fright of the other customers. I'm only gonna say this once, Jin said. Bring me something to eat. Oh, man. Full body huffed. That cook's gonna get us killed. Of course, sir, Patty began, but if I may ask, how do you plan on paying for your meal? A pause, before Jin pointed his pistol at Patty's head. How about I pay you in lead? He asked it with malicious grin, and yet, Patty didn't even flinch. So what you mean is you don't got any money, right? Patty asked, before he slammed both fists into Jin, who cried out in pain and destroyed the chair he was sitting. Of course, the customers all ended up smiling at this while Full Body gaped in disbelief. Whoa, Luffy exclaimed. He's strong, he certainly is, Brook agreed. Talk about a violent place, Frankie exclaimed. Even the bars I went to weren't that bad. Damn that Patty. Zeph cursed. He broke another chair. If you don't have any money, Patty began, then don't call yourself a customer, got that? Soon, the customers and the staff began to cheer loudly, but the Straw Hats could hear the sound of Jin's stomach gurgling from extreme hunger. That man's gonna die, Chopper whispered, grimly. Damn that Patty, Sanji cursed. Oh, I can hear your stomach growling from here, pirate, Patty said with mock pity. Dumb ass, Jin said. That was just a fart, now get me something to eat. Hell no, Patty shouted as he kicked Jin in his very empty stomach. I wouldn't give even a grain of rice to a flat-broke seawolf like you. Hey, Blizzard barked. I resemble that remark. Me, too, Ika added. During the commotion, Full Body took his chance to escape, but Luffy didn't really seem to care. He just kept watching Patty beat on poor, starving Jin without a single word. Dear customers, said Patty, bowing before the other patrons. Please enjoy the rest of your time, here. Yeehaw. The other customers cheered while Patty went and tossed Jin out. Luffy blinked, having finished his little analysis before he looked up at flight of stairs, then quietly hurried up to the upper deck. Once there, he looked down and saw Jin, lying on the floor, weak and coughing up blood. Damn him. He cursed. How dare he get away with that? Hey, Luffy called. Are you okay? You sound pretty hungry? Shish, shut up. Jin barked. Mind your own business. I'm not hungry at all. His stomach gave another lurching gurgle. His stomach sure says otherwise, said Frankie. Just then, the door opened, and out came past Sanji, holding a plate of hot rice and a glass of water, which he set down in front of Jin before he sat down himself. Eat up, the cook said, causing Jin to gasp silently and swallow the saliva forming in his mouth. And yet, he looked away. Forget it, he shouted. I don't accept charity from anyone, just take it and go away. Quit putting on the act, past Sanji said. To me, if anyone is hungry, they're a customer. Ika smiled up at the present Sanji, who glanced down and smiled back at her before he pet her on the head, causing her to laugh. I can't pay for this, said Jin, shamefully. The ocean can be a cruel mistress, said past Sanji as he looked up at the sky. If you're stuck out there without any faux death sentence. Boy, don't I know it, asked the present Sanji, while Nami looked at him before she put a sincere hand on his shoulder, causing him to smile at her and nod his head in gratitude, and meanwhile, Jin was staring at past Sanji in surprise. I understand starving people more than anyone else, he said. I mean, I get it if you want to keep your pride. But don't you think it's better to eat so you can continue to have pride now and in the future? Jin gasped silently before he looked down at the plate in front of him, and then, without a moment's hesitation, he finally began to eat. As he did, he soon burst into tears, praising the deliciousness of the food, which made past Sanji grin with pride, and sobbing about how he thought he was truly done for. All the while, Luffy grinned excitedly, and it was then that the Straw Hats realized he had made his decision. Well, I think I just found my cook, Luffy declared. Sanji, you were so nice to that man, Ika smiled. Yeah, Sanji, Nami added. I can't believe you fed that guy, even though he would later be your enemy. Like I said, Sanji began, I just couldn't leave him to starve, and out in open sea. Starvation is a real death sentence. Why do you think I get mad every time Luffy cleans out the fridge? I guess so, Ika said. Still, Usopp began. It takes a real man to do the things you do, Sanji. Well, what did you expect? Sanji asked. After all, I almost starved to death, myself, when I was a kid. No way am I gonna let anyone else suffer like I did. And that's just one of the many things we admire about you, said Robin. Indeed, Brook concurred while Blizzard went up and licked Sanji's face, causing him to chuckle as he wiped the slobber off his cheek. Thanks, Blizzard, the cook said. Hey, guys, said Zoro. Check it out. You're lucky he got you some food. Luffy called out to Jin while past Sanji looked up at him. You were almost a goner, you know. That's putting it mildly, Sanji said, sarcastically. Hey, you, Luffy said to past Sanji. Why don't you join my crew? Pardon? Asked past Sanji in bewilderment. What did he say? Asked Jin. After a moment, Luffy soon explained himself. So, let me get this straight, past Sanji said. You're a pirate, so why did you go and shoot at us? Oh, that was an accident, Luffy said. It was a stray cannonball that was fired in self-defense. That makes absolutely no sense at all, said past Sanji. Well, now it kinda does, now that I saw that it actually did happen, past Sanji mused, causing the other Straw Hats to chuckle, lightly. Listen, past Sanji began, if I were you, I'd watch my back around here. Chef Zeph used to be the cook on a pirate crew, himself. Really? Luffy asked. The old man was a pirate, too? The Bharati is the old geezer's treasure, past Sanji continued, and the cooks who work here used to be a bunch of hot-blooded thugs. If you ask me, for a place that's frequented by pirates, they're just perfect for the job. Seems pretty fitting, to me, Frankie smirked. Yeah, this place is a bit crazy, isn't it? Luffy asked. Past Sanji shrugged. You get used to it after a while. Just like how we all got used to Luffy's antics after a while, Robin pointed out. Although some of us warmed up to it, right away, like Blizzard and Brook, Usopp added. Yo-ho-ho-ho, Brook laughed. Some people only came here to see the pirates and the cooks fight, past Sanji continued, but the waiters all wussed out and jumped ship. Oh, I get it, Luffy exclaimed. So that's why the old man wants me to work for him for a year. You could say that, yeah, past Sanji agreed. Well, anyway, Luffy began, you should come and sail with me. Forget it, past Sanji answered. I've got a good reason to stay here. No way. Luffy shouted as he got in the blonde's face, I refuse. Wait, what? Past Sanji questioned in surprise. It's very simple, Luffy began. I'm refusing to accept your refusal. You're a really good cook and I want you to join my crew. Can you do that? Aika asked, tilting her head in puzzlement. In Luffy's mind, he can, Zoro answered. Yeah, that's one thing about your brother, Sanji said. No matter what, he just won't take no for an answer. Now just hold on a second, past Sanji exclaimed. Just hear me out, there's a reason why I can't join you. Okay, what is it? Luffy asked. None of your business, that's what, past Sanji answered. Are you kidding me? Luffy questioned. You just said to hear you out? PSH. Zoro scoffed. Talk about stupid. You never did make much sense either, dartboard. Bap. Sanji kicked the swordsman in the face, and soon, another brawl commenced, while Blizzard heaved a sigh and shook his head. Every time. He muttered. Look, all I'm asking is that you respect my wishes, past Sanji shouted. Now get outta here before I fillet you and that crappy straw hat of yours. Hey, you! Luffy shouted as he butted heads with the cook. No one insults my straw hat unless they're looking for a beating. You guys almost fought like Zoro and Sanji do now, said Chopper. I noticed that, Sanji said, he and Zoro having been pulled apart by Nami. Excuse me, said Jin. What do you want? Past Sanji and Luffy yelled. My name is Jin, Jin introduced himself. I'm one of the Krieg pirates. You, the boy in the straw hat. If you're a pirate, then what exactly are you after? Luffy grinned and replied, isn't it obvious? I'm after the One Piece, so I'm going to the Grand Line to get it. Yeah, Aika and Kumi cheered, while Jin went eerily quiet after that declaration. If you don't have a cook, he started, then I'm guessing you don't have much of a crew, yet, either. This guy will make 5, Luffy said as he pointed at past Sanji, who growled at him. Leave me out of this, he barked. You don't seem like too bad a guy, Jin began, so I'm going to give you a warning. Whatever you do, stay away from the Grand Line. Really? Not more of this stay away from the Grand Line, it's dangerous crap, again. I guess after a while, Usopp began. Luffy would be annoyed by all those warnings. People have warned him who knows how many times, Nami said, but we all know that it wouldn't stop Luffy from doing what he wanted to do. It wouldn't be Luffy, otherwise, now would it? Asked Brook, causing the Straw Hats to laugh. Don't run straight towards your own death, Jin said. You're still very young. The seas are vast, and the Grand Line is just one narrow route. There are plenty of waters that you could sail. There are? Luffy asked, intrigued. You sure know a lot about the Grand Line, huh? Not very much, Jin admitted, his face beginning to sweat profusely. In fact, I barely know anything about it at all, but enough that it scares the daylights out of me. For a guy who's one of the Krieg pirates, past Sanji began, you're a bit of a coward, aren't you? Who's Krieg? Luffy inquired before the memory shifted again. Luffy and past Sanji stood at the railing of the restaurant while Jin stood in a dinghy, preparing to sail off. Wait, it just changed without explaining who that Krieg guy is, asked Aika. You'll see later on, anyway, Aika, Usopp answered. These are Luffy's memories after all. I just thought I'd warn you about the Grand Line and all, said Jin. Thanks, but I'm still going to the Grand Line, anyways, Luffy answered. Hee. Jin chuckled. Well, I guess I can't stop you. Do what you want, I suppose. How you wish to die really isn't any of my business, now is it? Big brother's not gonna die, either way, Aika exclaimed. Quote. Right. Once we find our Luffy, he won't, Nami answered. You think he'll be okay until we do find him? Asked Kumi. Sure I do, Aika answered. Big brother's the strongest man I've ever known, he'll be okay. Man, I hope so, Aika, Sanji said. I really do. Sanji, said Jin to past Sanji. Thank you, for saving my life. The food was great. He then grinned. Perhaps I can come and eat again? Sure, past Sanji smiled. Anytime at all. The Straw Hats all smiled warmly at the scene. You two acted like you were best friends, Frankie said. It's funny how a plate of food can bring people together, huh? Asked Robin. The many wonders of a good meal, Sanji mused. Food does have that effect on people, doesn't it? Asked Blizzard. Chore boy. There you are, Luffy yelped as he turned to see Zeph standing on the upper deck. Boss Zeph, he cried. Oh, Chopper muttered. I wonder if he saw everything. Something told me he did, Sanji began, but that old crap geezer just didn't say much. Jin stood frozen in slight surprise before he sighed in remorse, putting a hand to his forehead in shame. Forgive me, he said. Now you'll probably get yelled at or fired because you fed me. Past Sanji hummed as he looked down at the empty plate and glass, that dumped into the sea. What are you doing? Luffy asked. Hey, past Sanji smirked. Now there's no proof, so there's no reason for me to get yelled at. Jin gasped in disbelief while Luffy smiled, as did the rest of the Straw Hats. Then, Jin got down on his hands and knees, bowing his head in gratitude as he sailed off with the current. Stay out of trouble, Jin, you hear? Past Sanji called. Now I really gotta get this guy to join me, somehow. Chore boy, Zeph called. Get to work. Okay. Luffy cried as the memory ended, right there. Hey, how long did Luffy work for you guys, anyways? Usopp asked. I don't remember. Sanji hummed in recollection. Actually, I think he was only there for about a day or two. That long? Blizzard asked. Why? Wait, let me guess. He was lousy, wasn't he? You guessed correctly, said Sanji. I mean, he kept breaking the dishes, he kept snatching food, burned himself on the utensils because they were still on the stove. That bad, huh? Asked Kumi. But, you know he was trying, right? Aika asked. Yeah, I know, Sanji began, but, well, how do I put this? Your brother's not very, competent, as far as those things go. I guess so, Aika said. Hey, look, said Usopp as he pointed forward at a new memory, which showed the going merry at nighttime. Luffy was walking up to the ship, taking off a dirty apron from his waist, and the Straw Hats could make out a rare look of exhaustion on his face. It was apparent that Zeph really put him through the ringer that day. I don't remember this one, said Nami. Of course, I was asleep that night. Yeah, I don't remember very much about this one either, said Usopp. Although, that's probably because I was on watch that night. As Luffy prepared to head to the boys' room for a good night's rest, he heard voices. "I still can't believe you're a pirate now, big bro Zoro." "Yeah, and with some scrawny kid as your captain." Luffy's eyes went wide, instantly recognizing the voices of Johnny and Yosaku before he approached the hatch and took a peek. There, he saw past Zoro, leaning against the wall while speaking with Johnny and Yosaku, who sat on the other side of the room. "How come you joined up with him, anyway?" asked Johnny. "Look, I was in a bit of a bind," said past Zoro. "I got captured by the Marines at one time and he bailed me out." "Ah, I see," said Yosaku. "So you're repaying a debt, huh?" "A debt?" past Zoro repeated. "You gotta be kidding. I don't owe that moron anything." Luffy's eyes went wide. "Zoro," he whispered. The Straw Hats also stood in disbelief at what they had just heard, even Zoro himself. "Oh, no," Zoro muttered. "He hurt me that night." "Wait, I don't get it," said Johnny. "If he saved you, how come you talk like you don't like him?" "Look, you guys saw him," said past Zoro. "He says he's a pirate, but what kind of a pirate goes and owns up about some mistake he made?" "That is true," Usopp muttered. "Luffy's a little too honest for his own good." "Ow." "Shush." Robin shushed the sniper after swatting his arm. "So, what are you gonna do?" asked Yosaku. "I'll just hang around him for a little while longer," said past Zoro, "and then, once I find that guy and beat him, I'll ditch that idiot. Besides, you guys know how I am. I don't take any orders from anyone, especially some snot-nosed, straw hat-wearing brat with his head in the clouds. I mean, seriously, king of the pirates, him? He doesn't even know the first thing about being a pirate?" The Straw Hats saw the memory turn blue as Luffy shrank back from the hatch while the Straw Hats gaped in disbelief, while Zoro looked away in shame. "That was way harsh," Frankie said. "I can't believe you said that, Zoro," Chopper exclaimed. I didn't know he was listening to us," Zoro argued. "And here I was, thinking you were the most loyal to Luffy," said Sanji. "Look, things were different back then, all right?" Zoro questioned. "Back then, I had no interest in following anyone or taking orders from anybody, I guess. I guess I had an ego problem, too." "A big one," Nami said with a fierce glare. "You really hurt Luffy's feelings that night." "Yeah, but then, it all changed," Zoro said. "How?" Aika asked. "You're gonna find out, Aika," the swordsman replied as the memory shifted. It showed Luffy in the kitchen, washing dishes with a distant look in his eyes while the cooks were busy preparing the meals. It was obvious to everyone that what past Zoro had said the night before had really gotten to him. "Wow," Sanji said. "I remember that he did look a bit distracted that day. Now I know why." "Damn it," Zoro cursed. He really wished he didn't have to see these memories, especially now that he realized that there might have been times that Luffy might have heard things that he was not meant to hear. "Zoro," Robin asked, "you know that, no one blames you, right?" "Yeah, you didn't know he heard you," Usopp added. "It doesn't change the fact that I insulted him," Zoro whispered with great regret. "God. I really took Luffy for granted, didn't I?" At that moment, Luffy's ears caught the sound of Patty's voice. "Hey, where the hell is Sanji?" asked Patty, causing Luffy to look up from the dishes. "Where do you think?" asked one of the cooks. "Flirting with the women in the dining room, of course." Again, Patty questioned. "And that guy's the sous chef? He makes me sick?" "Well, you're no prize, either, Patty," Sanji muttered under his breath. "That may be," started another cook, "but Sanji's been here way longer than any of us. Makes me wonder why he sticks around here, even though he and the boss don't get along." "I think it's because he wants to be the head chef," answered another. As Luffy was eavesdropping, he unknowingly let the dishes slip out of his wet fingers, causing them to shatter in the sink, and it eventually caught the attention of the staff. That's when Patty turned and noticed him before he growled. "Chore boy," he shouted, causing Luffy to look up at him. "And just how many dishes have you broken, just now?" "Oh, you know what?" Luffy questioned as he dropped another dish. "I lost count." "Be more careful, you little brat," Patty spat. "Oh, boy," Sanji murmured, "it begins." Soon, Luffy started causing all kind of problems, like taking the food of the plates and eating it, spilling mop water on the floor, and nosing over utensils that were still hot, just like Sanji had said. Finally, The cooks had had enough of Luffy making a mess and kicked him out to wait on the customers instead. I wonder if Kobe's having a hard time doing chores like this, Luffy muttered as he went into the dining hall. Only to find past Zoro, past Nami, and past Usopp there, sitting at a table. Well, if it isn't the chore boy, past Nami exclaimed. We heard you gotta work here for a year, past Usopp smirked. You think we can change the ship's flag? Past Zoro inquired, jokingly, which caused past Nami and past Usopp to laugh. As the memory turned blue once again, and Zoro looked down, feeling even guiltier than before. Luffy was already feeling bad enough after eavesdropping on him during that night. The fact that he made that crack of changing of the crew's Jolly Roger only made him feel even worse. Wow, Nami said. Now I feel bad, too. Yeah, had we known that Luffy had heard about what Zoro said that night, Usopp began, we never would have went in there to poke fun at him. How could I have been so stupid? Zoro asked. Hey, Luffy shouted. You guys are eating in here without me? How cruel are you? Luffy, quiet down, past Sanji called before he noticed the others. Huh? Oh, are these your crew? Yeah, Luffy answered as he picked his nose and flicked it into Zoro's water. Hey, since we're at a restaurant, we might as well have a bite to eat, am I right? Past Zoro asked. Hey, yeah, past Usopp agreed. You know, the food's not half bad, past Zoro began. But you know what, Tedder? He then grabbed Luffy and made him drink his water. If you drank this yourself? Ha 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 ha. Blaga rrgh, Luffy gagged and sputtered, while past Usopp and past Nami kept laughing. Of course, their present selves felt even worse. You know something? Nami asked. I almost wish these weren't actually Luffy's memories. Me, too. Past Usopp said. I can't believe you all treated Big Brother so badly, Ika said. Yeah, what were you thinking? Asked Chopper. Back then, we didn't take Luffy very seriously, Usopp admitted. I guess it was because he acted like such a goofball most of the time. But now, looking back, I can't help but feel regretful. Especially when we know why he acts like that. Zoro didn't say a single word, but only closed his eye and looked away, while Blizzard blinked at him, sadly, but the moment was soon interrupted when they saw past Sanji kneel before past Nami. Oh see, how grateful I am for this day of days, he exclaimed, lovingly, with hearts in his eyes. Oh love, smile upon me. For I cannot survive this pain. I would stoop to becoming a pirate or even a demon, if only I could be with you, my orange-haired beauty. Such a tragedy, for the obstacles between us are far too great. At that moment, the memory turned red, and for some reason, Luffy seemed to be green. Hey, who the hell said you can talk to her? Whoa, where'd that come from? Oh, no. Sanji murmured with slight dread. Yo-ho-ho, Brook chortled. Well, this doesn't look very good, now does it? It seems Luffy's gotten his first taste of jealousy, said Robin in amusement. Really? Nami asked. He sure didn't act on it, in fact, he hardly reacted at all. I guess it's because Luffy was still trying to figure out how he felt about you, Frankie answered. Ahem. The group looked up to see Zeph, who was leaning against a chair while giving a disapproving look at past Sanji, who flinched in shock. Ah, shit, the old man. He cursed. You're in trouble, mister, Ika said. Obstacles, huh, Sanji? Asked Zeph. In that case, go and follow your heart as you please. I don't need you around here anymore. Excuse me? Past Sanji questioned. Huh? Luffy muttered. Hey, you crap geezer, past Sanji cursed. In case you've forgotten, I'm the sous chef, here. What do you mean you don't need me anymore? That's exactly what I mean, Zeph answered. You fight with the customers and you waste hours, staring at some woman's ass. He still does, sometimes, Zoro muttered. Watch it, Sanji barked. Not to mention you're a lousy cook, said Zeph. Face it, Eggplant. You're nothing but dead weight. Plus, the other cooks don't like you very much, either. So do us all a favor. Go be a pirate and get lost. Luffy just sat on the floor, blinking as he watched the situation unfold, his eyes staring owlishly at Zeph. Well, I can see he wants Sanji to leave, but I can't help but think he's lying about something. Don't you go stepping over the line, old man, past Sanji barked as he grabbed the head chef by the collar of his coat. You can insult me all you want, but don't ever insult my cooking, got that? I'm staying right here. Whether you like it or not, you have no say in the matter, get me? Keep your hands off of me, you underdone eggplant, Zeph yelled as he grabbed the blonde cook and slammed him into a table, smashing it to pieces. It was a good thing Blizzard covered Aika and Kumi's eyes. How come you're always covering our eyes? Asked Kumi in irritation. Hush, Blizzard replied. URRRGH. Past Sanji grunted while past Zoro, past Nami, and past Usopp had managed to save their food before the cook went crashing into their table. HMPH. Zeph scoffed as he turned and walked away. Hey, don't you walk away from me, past Sanji yelled. You can't just kick me out. I'll cook here for the rest of my life, until the day you die, you crap geezer. Until the day I die, eh? Zeph asked. I got at least another 100 years ahead of me, boy. Always gotta have the last word, don't you? Asked past Sanji. Great, you've got permission, now, Luffy exclaimed, so come and be my cook. Shut your mouth. Past Sanji barked before the memory ended, right there. Wait, I don't understand, Chopper said. What happened? Why did he want you to leave? Doesn't he need you? The truth is, Sanji began, he just didn't want me wasting my life there. I mean, sure, I may have been a bit of a nuisance, but I think the old man just wanted me to go out and follow my dream, that's why. He then chuckled. That crap geezer. In his own strange way, he always did care for me. Like he was your daddy, Aika smiled. Yeah, Sanji smiled, he was. Guys, check it out, said Nami as another memory appeared. It showed the Baratie, again, and Luffy was standing outside, getting ready to start his shift, again. However, he still had that distant look in his eyes, obviously still hurt from what past Zoro had said a couple of nights back and when he, past Nami, and past Usopp were teasing him yesterday, and the Straw Hats could make out tiny traces of tear stains on his face. Oh, dear, Robin whispered in concern. Poor big brother, Aika said, sadly. We really got to him, that day, Usopp said, sadly. I was so stupid. Zoro muttered under his breath. I ought to kick myself, why didn't I realize he was hurting? He didn't exactly say anything, either, Nami added. I mean, maybe he didn't want us to think he was overreacting or something, I don't know. At that moment, past Sanji approached Luffy from behind. Hey, chore boy, he called. Come on, it's time for you to get to work. Try not to break any dishes, this time, alright? Yeah. Luffy muttered, distantly, which caused past Sanji to blink at him before he sighed and went to stand beside him. Hey, said past Sanji. I normally don't do this kind of thing, but I can't help noticing you've been kind of distracted since yesterday. Luffy glanced over at him. You, got something on your chest, there, past Sanji inferred. Maybe you want to get it off? You can talk to me? Well, Luffy started, since you asked. Say there's this friend and, well, you haven't known him for too long, but he kind of, maybe, said something that might have hurt your feelings, but he doesn't know that you heard him. What would you do? Past Sanji muttered. Honestly, I wouldn't worry about too much. Speaking from experiences, I don't really care what people say about me, so I just ignore them. Besides, whoever it was who talked about me usually forgets about it. It's probably best to just not bring it up. Yeah, Luffy said. I guess maybe he did forget about it. Maybe it's nothing to worry about, too much. Who's this friend you're talking about, anyway? Asked past Sanji. It's not important, Luffy lied. It is so important, you idiot, Zoro barked before he glared at Sanji. And you? I cannot believe you told him not to tell me about what I said. I told him not to worry about it, Sanji countered. I didn't think that he actually wouldn't confront you, and in all fairness, Moss Head, I didn't even know he was talking about you. That's enough. Nami yelled as she pushed the two of them apart. Look, what's done is done. Okay. We can't do anything about it, now. Look. Maybe, when we find our Luffy, we'll talk to him about all this, alright? Yeah, said Zoro. You're right, Sanji agreed. Good, Nami nodded, but then, there was a loud screaming, causing everyone to look up. And that's when they saw a gigantic galleon ship. Only, it looked like it had seen better days. The figurehead, a roaring tiger, as cracked and chipped at the left side, the sails were torn, and the crew on board looked half dead. Is that? Aika asked. Krieg's pirate ship, Sanji answered with great disgust. Wow, Frankie muttered. What the hell happened to that ship? Hawkeye happened, Zoro answered. Who? Ika inquired. A Hawkeye. Kati. But, how can Hawk's eyeball do that? Not a Hawkeye, said Zoro. Hawkeye. Dracule, Hawkeye, Mahawk. The world's greatest swordman, able to cut through battleships with a single swing of his black sword. Ika and Kumi gaped before they glanced at each other worriedly, then swallowed the lumps that had formed in their throats. Whoa! Luffy exclaimed, forgetting his earlier sadness. That ship's huge. Hey, maybe Jin came back to say thanks. I doubt that, Past Sanji said, but something does seem off. Off? How? Asked Luffy. I dunno. Let's hurry and get down there, said Past Sanji as he and Luffy hurried to the dining hall. That's when they got a closer look at the wrecked galleon. Yeesh, Past Sanji grimaced. A great galleon ship like that, ravaged to that degree? That wasn't the work of any man. It looks like they sailed into a typhoon or something. Hey! They wished, Zoro muttered. They got lucky that they escaped with their lives. Anytime Hawkeye cuts down a ship. Hardly lived to tell the tale about it. Okay, Zoro, that's enough, Robin said as she held Ika and Kumi, who shivered in fear. You're frightening the girls. And Chopper, Blizzard added as the little reindeer clung to his right foreleg. At that moment, someone else entered the restaurant, causing the customers to gasp in fear as they stood up out of their chairs. It was Jin, along with a tall, burly man that was wearing a fur coat and had bandages wrapped around his forehead. He had some rather expensive-looking clothes and jewelry, so it seemed he was rather wealthy. If one didn't know better, he almost looked dead on his feet. Goo! He groaned. Please, may I have some food and water? I got money, I can pay. Is that Don Krieg? Asked Ika. It sure is, Sanji answered. Even now, I still can't forget that ugly mug of his. I honestly hope he died in the Grand Line, somewhere, that bastard. Huh? Muttered one of the cooks of the Bharati, Karne. Who the hell's that? Patty asked. He looks too shabby to be a king. That guy looks pretty hungry, doesn't he? Asked Luffy. What the hell is going on? Past Sanji asked, just as Don Krieg collapsed on the floor, panting heavily. Don Krieg! Jin cried in alarm. Enemy or not, Chopper began, he was really on the brink of death. I could tell just by looking at him. It looked like he hadn't eaten for nearly a whole week. Hey, Jin shouted. Don't anyone just stand there, get him some food and water, please. If you don't help him, he'll die. A pause. Before Patty burst into laughter. You gotta be kidding me, he shouted. This half-dead idiot is actually the dreaded Don Krieg? Don't make me laugh. Come on, Jin shouted. Seriously, you have to help, this time, we have the money to pay for it, we're customers, here. Hey, Karne, Patty called. Call the Marines. They'll leap at the chance to finally catch Don Krieg. No one feed a single crumb, got it? Soon, the patrons in the restaurant began to clamor in agreement. Yeah, if he eats and gets his strength back, he'll kill us all. He's a pirate, after all. Starving's way too good for him. That monster deserves to die, so I say let him. Even the staff members were murmuring amongst themselves. There's no way we can feed this guy. He's right. Don't give him anything, not even a glass of water. You know, I really can't say that they're wrong, said Nami, but it is a bit hard to watch this, isn't it? And yet, I can't help thinking something's off, Brooke replied. Don Krieg groaned as he bowed his head before Patty. Please, I won't harm anyone. I promise. Just feed me, and I'll leave you all alone. I beg of you, please help me. Don Krieg, what are you doing? Jin questioned. Don't grovel, it's beneath you. Please, Don Krieg pleaded. I'm begging you, even if it's leftover rice, I'll eat it. Don Krieg. Jin sniffled with tears in his eyes. Jin really does care for his boss, doesn't he? Asked Frankie. Yeah, Sanji replied, although, I wonder if that loyalty might have been misplaced. Misplaced? Asked Ika. HMPH, scoffed Patty. Trying to work on my sympathies, huh? Get the hell out of the way, Patty. Past Sanji barked as he kicked the loud-mouthed cook out of his path, holding a plate of rice and a bottle of grog, then walked up to Jin and Don Krieg. Here you go, Jin. Feed this to your captain. Sanji. Jin whispered before he bowed his head. "Thank you." "Bless you, sir," Don Krieg exclaimed before he shoved the food into his mouth. "You fed him?" Frankie questioned, "even though he was the enemy?" "Really dumb move, cook," said Zoro. "Say what you want," Sanji began, "but no matter what, it's a cook's duty to feed the hungry. Even if they do stab you in the back, later. I didn't regret it before and I'm not regret it now." "Well said," Robin smiled. "Sanji," Carne shouted. "Have you lost your mind? Take that food away from him? Don't you know who that is? That's foul play, Don Krieg, the tyrant of the East Blue. He got his start in prison, then lied his way onto a marine ship, where he killed the officers and took over. He's full of all kinds of rotten tricks, like flying a marine flag as he enters the port, and then shooting up the town, or a white flag to make you think he's surrendering before he goes in for the kill. He's known far and wide for his legendary duplicity. He may say that he'll let us go, but there's no way we can trust him. That two-faced bastard is better off dead." As if to prove his point, Don Krieg decked past Sanji to the floor with a haymaker move. Sanji, Luffy and Jin cried out while Don Krieg gave a devious grin. "Don Krieg," Jin shouted. "How could you? You said that as long I led you here, you wouldn't hurt anyone. This man saved our lives, Ack." He was soon silenced when Krieg grabbed him by the shoulder and squeezed tightly, threatening to crush it. "That food was pretty good," said Don Krieg. "I can feel my strength returning, already." "Jin!" Luffy cried, while past Sanji smirked with a bloody lip. "So that's how it is, huh?" he asked. "Not a bad ship," Don Krieg said. "I think I'll take it." "Why am I not surprised?" asked Blizzard. "I knew something smelled off about that jackass." "You fed him, but he still chose to fight you?" Chopper asked. "Some guys are just ungrateful," Sanji said, nonchalantly. "What a horrible thing to do," Aika shouted. "It's about to get a lot worse," Sanji said as the memory shifted, once again. "Just watch." By now, the Straw Hats were watching the outside of the Bharati. But, for some reason, Don Krieg's galleon had been cut in half, somehow. "What happened here?" Chopper asked, sweating nervously. "Well, the old man and I fed Don Krieg's crew," said Sanji. "After that, they were ready to start a fight, again. The cooks were ready to turn against me, but then the old geezer asked them if they had ever starved before. And if they were gonna keep bitching about it, then they might as well. Instead, they chose to stay. Now that's real loyalty for you." "Loyalty?" Zoro muttered. "And Moss Head, do me a favor?" Sanji asked. "Stop with the sad sack shit. It's not a good look for you." "Since when do you care?" asked Zoro. "For your information, I don't," Sanji retorted. "I just don't want Luffy seeing you like this. We'll talk about it when we get him out of that damn dragon's claws." "You're right," Zoro said. "Sorry, don't worry about it," Sanji answered. At that moment, Luffy, past Zoro, and past Usopp were standing at the aft of the Bharati, where they saw Johnny and Yosaku swimming towards them. And yet, neither the Going Merry, nor past Nami were nowhere in sight. "Johnny! Yosaku!" Past Zoro cried as he pulled them aboard. "What happened? Are you two okay?" "What happened to the Merry?" Past Usopp asked. "And where's Nami?" "That's the thing," Johnny answered. "She kicked us off the ship and stole it, along with all the treasure." "She what?" Luffy and past Zoes told the Merry. Past Usopp asked in disbelief. "You stole their ship?" Frankie asked, causing Nami to look down, guiltily. "And now, hold on a second," Usopp cried. "What she did was wrong, but she did have her reasons." "I was kind of on deadline," Nami answered. "You'll see later." "I understand," Frankie said. "I'm sure you didn't really want to do it." "Of course I didn't," Nami replied, "but, back then, I was out of options." "We will discuss when we get to that point," Brook said. "Don't you worry about that." "Thanks, Brook," Nami smiled. "I'm still not showing you my underwear, though." "Fair enough." Brook muttered in defeat while Blizzard snickered. "Wait!" Luffy exclaimed as he pointed to the horizon, where he could make out the shrinking shape of the Going Merry. "There's the Merry. Right there." He then looked to Johnny and Yosaku. "Hey, where's your ship?" "It's still anchored, nearby," answered Johnny. "Zoro, Usopp," Luffy called. "You gotta go after Nami." "Are you kidding me?" Past Zoro asked. "Forget it. Why should we go after Traitor?" "What about the Merry?" Past Usopp questioned. Kaya gave her to us, you know. No way. Luffy shouted. I made my decision, long ago. Nami's supposed to my navigator, I won't settle for anyone else. Nami gasped silently as she felt her heart begin to race. You know, I don't think he wanted you just because he loved you, said Zoro. I think he really acknowledged your skills. He wanted the best navigator there was, and to him, that was you. Luffy. Nami whispered as tears welled up in her eyes. I can't believe it. A pause. But then past Zoro heaved a sigh. Damn it, he cursed. Fine, you win, what an annoying captain. Although he didn't notice it, Luffy seemed to tense up subtly at that utterance, and seeing that still made Zoro feel guilty about the things he said on that night. Come on, Usopp, past Zoro called. Let's get a move on. Right, past Usopp exclaimed before he looked to Luffy. Wait, Luffy, what about you, aren't you coming? I can't, Luffy answered. The Baraati's in trouble. Well, just be careful, said past Zoro. Looks like things are about to go to hell in a handbasket. Yeah, I know, Luffy nodded. Look, it's him, Don Krieg. It's the demon WHO went and sank all our ships. The Straw Hats all looked up, and they gaped upon seeing a shadowy figure, sailing in on what looked like a coffin with candles that had an ominous green flame. The very sight made the blood of the more fearful members of the Straw Hats run cold. Even those who had seen it before. Past Zoro looked especially shocked upon seeing the boat, while the present Zoro quietly clenched his fists. As the shadows fled, it was soon revealed to be none other than Dracul, Hawkeye, Mihawk. It's him, past Zoro whispered, Hawkeye. The guy you're looking for? Luffy asked. He's scary, Aika whimpered. I'll say, Kumi exclaimed, he looks like a vampire. Vampire? Chopper questioned. I remember when I saw him, back during the Paramount War, Blizzard whispered. If I hadn't warned Luffy in time. Dracul Mihawk, Robin said. One of the 7 warlords of the sea and the world's greatest swordsman. Even now, Zoro began, I still feel a tingle down my spine whenever I see his face. He closed his eye. I was way out of my league. What do you mean? Aika asked. What happened, Zoro? Well, you see this scar on my chest? Zoro asked as he pointed to said scar, which caused Aika to nod in response. He's the one who gave it to me. Hearing that caused Aika to gasp in disbelief. You mean, she asked. He beat me, Zoro nodded. Hey, Hawkeye, shouted one of Krieg's revitalized men. Why the hell do you keep tormenting us? For my amusement, said Mihawk, casually. Amusement? The Krieg pirates yelled before one of them tried to shoot him. Only for the warlord to deflect the bullets with just a light swing of his enormous blade. I missed. The pirate questioned in shock. No, said past Zoro. Shooting at him is just useless. He simply deflected the bullets, that's all. Wait, Zoro, Luffy called. You were supposed to. He then stopped himself as a look of recollection appeared on his face. If you do something that makes me give that up, I'll have to have you slice your stomach open and spill your guts. Luffy's face paled as he stood back, letting past Zoro approach Mihawk. He remembered your vow, Sanji said. That's why he didn't stop you. I actually wish that he had, Zoro answered. Hey, cried one of the Krieg pirates. Who the hell are you supposed to be? I've never seen such subtle swordplay, said past Zoro, ignoring the pirate. Without subtlety, said Mihawk as he sheathed his sword, then a sword is nothing more than an iron bar. You split this entire galleon with just your sword, alone? Asked past Zoro. Indeed, Mihawk nodded. I see, past Zoro grinned. Then you really are the greatest. Hey, wait! Whispered one of the Krieg pirates. He's got 3 swords. Could this guy be the pirate hunter? I went out to sea, just to find you, past Zoro declared. And why is that? Asked Mihawk. Hey, past Zoro smirked as he tied his bandana around his head. To become the greatest. If you're looking for fun, then fight me. Hearing that caused the Krieg pirates to shriek in fright. It is him. That's Roronoa Zoro, the pirate hunter? Asked Don Krieg. That guy's him. Asked past Sanji. Zoro, what are you doing? Past Usopp questioned. We gotta go after Nami, remember? Big bro. Yosaku whispered worriedly while Luffy remained silent. Once I find that guy and beat him, I'll ditch that idiot. Zoro. I don't want you to leave, but at the same time, I can't get in the way. What am I gonna do? He was really worked up about that, Nami said. I'm sorry, Luffy. Zoro whispered. What a pathetic weakling, said Mihawk as he stood up from his boat and got on board the remains of Krieg's galleon. If you really are competent swordsman, you don't need to cross blades to know that I far surpass your inferior skills. Does the courage you have to point your blade at me come from confidence? Or perhaps, ignorance? I was definitely ignorant, Zoro said as he looked away, then glanced over at Robin. Robin. Cover Aika and Kumi's eyes. I don't want them to see this. Robin nodded before she proceeded to use her powers to cover Aika and Kumi's eyes. It comes from ambition, past Zoro answered as he put Wado Ichimonji in his mouth, and a promise to an old friend. The air was tense. The Straw Hats stood, watching the scene unfold. Past Zoro glared at Mihawk with his swords brandished. The Krieg pirates dared not to interfere out of fear of getting sliced by Mihawk's sword, while Luffy, past Usopp, Johnny, and Yosaku all stood on the other side, watching intently. We meet at last, past Zoro began, sooner than I thought, too. How futile, said Mihawk. I don't believe it, Patty said, nervously. The world's top swordsman and pirate hunter Zoro, about to duel, here. This'll be a cinch, exclaimed Johnny. Yeah, nobody can beat Big Bro Zoro in a sword duel, agreed Yosaku, while Luffy just remained silent. Big Brother's really tense, Aika said. His face doesn't show it, but he's really nervous about this. Could it be that Luffy sensed that Mihawk might have been stronger than Zoro, all along? Asked Robin. That's when Mihawk whipped out his pocket knife. A dagger? Asked Frankie. You're kidding, right? Just watch, Zoro said. What the hell is that for? Past Zoro glared. I'm not the kind of idiot who would go around shooting at bunny rabbits with a cannon, said Mihawk. You may have a reputation here in the East Blue, but you're still just a pesky vermin. What did you say? Past Zoro questioned. The Red Line and the Grand Line divide the seas of the world into 4 quand. Of the 4, the East Blue is the weakest. Sorry to say this, but this is the smallest dagger that I've got. If I were you, past Zoro started, I'd watch that bravado, pal. Otherwise, you're gonna look real stupid when I kill you. On that, he charged at Mihawk, preparing to use his signature move. Look at you, said Mihawk. You're just a tiny frog, croaking in your little puddle. I think it's time you learned how big the sea really is. And boy did I learn. Zoro whispered. Oni. Jiri, past Zoro shouted as he tried to deploy his attack. Only for Mihawk to stop it with just his dagger alone. W. What? Zoro? Luffy asked in concern. That's impossible, cried Johnny. He stopped Big Bro Zoro's onigiri with that little knife. No way, shouted Yosaku. That move never fails. Past Zoro grew very tense, but he did not back down. He let out a roar of fury as he tried to cut Mihawk, but the warlord continued to parry his blades with his tiny knife. No matter how many times he tried, Mihawk kept blocking his attacks. For the Straw Hats, this almost looked too hard to take in. Right now, the Zoro they were witnessing was nothing like the Zoro they knew. Now, his movements were clumsy and erratic, not poised and fluid like they normally were. He was letting his frustration and need to win take over. And that would soon cloud his judgment. And worse, yet, they knew that Luffy wanted to step in and help, but he forced himself not to. What drives you? Asked Mihawk. Why do you so hard, knowing you cannot win? You're such a weakling. Take that back, buzzard I. Yosaku yelled as he and Johnny prepared to jump off and attack him. Why you? Johnny shouted. I'll teach you not to mock Big Bro Zoro. Wait, Luffy cried as he grabbed them by the back of their coats. Stop it, Johnny. Yosaku. Stay out of this. He soon pinned them both to the deck of their boat. I know it's hard, but you gotta keep calm. I wanna help too, but I can't. The Straw Hats felt their hearts clench upon hearing that thought. Damn it, I wish Luffy didn't have to be so honorable for once, Sanji cursed. He knows Zoro's about to get killed, but he can't do anything about it, Blizzard cried. Hey, what's going on? Aika asked as she tried to pull off Robin's eyes. I hate to say this, Brook began, But Mihawk was far superior in skill than you, Zoro. Tell me about it, Zoro whispered as he clenched his fists. Soon, past Zoro slid back as Mihawk pushed him away. But even then, he refused to surrender. He soon held up his swords behind his back. Tiger! Hunt! He yelled as he tried to strike Mihawk down, only to get stabbed in the chest. Big bro Zoro! Johnny and Yosaku screamed while Luffy tensed up. Ah! Chopper shrieked. Zoro! Robin covered her mouth as she gasped in horror, but in her shock, she accidentally released her grip on Aika's and Kumi's eyes. And needless to say, the girls were horrified at what they just saw. Oh, no, Zoro, Aika cried. No way, Kumi whispered in shock. Goo! Past Zoro gagged as blood spilled from the wound. Do you wish for me to stab your heart? Asked Mihawk. Why do you not retreat? I can't. Past Zoro coughed. If I surrender, if I retreat, even one step. My vow. My ambition. Everything that I ever cared about will be shattered, and my dream will be lost forever. Yes, said Mihawk. That is defeat, I'm afraid. Hey. So that means I can't walk away, past Zoro said, even as blood dripped from his mouth. Even if it means death? Mihawk inquired. Please stop, please stop, please stop. I prefer to die rather than be defeated, past Zoro said in defiance. Luffy can't take much more of seeing this, Nami said. And to be frank, I can't either. Boy, said Mihawk as he pulled out his knife from past Zoro's chest, tell me, what is your name? The name's Zoro, past Zoro said as he held up his swords, again, Roronoa Zoro. I shall remember that, Mihawk said as he finally reached for his sword. It's been quite some time since I've met one with such courage. I shall honor the swordsman's code. And send you to your death with this black blade of mine. The finest in the world. Seeing that sword sent the Krieg pirates running away in terror, knowing it was the very blade that destroyed their fleet. Past Zoro, however, remained unafraid. As he began to spin his swords in his hands. Die, boy, Mihawk yelled as he lunged at him. Big bro, it's not worth it, cried Johnny. Get out of there. Dodge it, dodge it, dodge it, dodge it, Luffy whispered. Free sword style, secret to Chinke. Past Zoro exclaimed, 3,000 worlds. As the two swordsmen swung their blades. Blood splurted from past Zoro's wound as Mihawk's sword struck. And shattered the two swords in the green-haired swordsman's hands. Oh, my god. Robin whispered, don't tell me. I'm sorry you had to see this. Zoro whispered with great shame. That's when past Zoro turned to face Mihawk, who was just preparing to finish him off. What are you doing? Mihawk asked. Wounds on the back, past Zoro began, are a swordsman's greatest shame. HMPH, Mihawk smirked. Splendid. Slash, with a single swing of his mighty blade. Mihawk sliced past Zoro right in the chest. A geyser of blood bursting right out. Zoro! Luffy screamed in horror as a single tear formed in his eye. And on that, the memory faded to black. Zoro! Chopper shouted at the swordsman. Are you out of your mind? You could have died? You think I don't know that? Zoro questioned. So that's how you got that scar? Nami whispered in horror. I think I feel sick. Frankie muttered. My word, Brook said. You are certainly outclassed, Zoro. Tell me about it, Zoro said. That was the very moment I realized the difference in power between me and Hawkeye. Even now. I still get chills down my back when I remembered the day I lost to him. Ahem. Zoro turned to see Robin, who glared at him coldly, which did unnerve him a bit. Then, she raised her hand and slapped the swordsman across the face, causing him to cry out in pain as he held his cheek while the others winced. Then, the archaeologist pulled him into a tight embrace, screwing her eyes shut to keep herself from crying. Don't you ever do something so reckless and stupid again, she told him. Do you hear me, Roronoa Zoro? Never again? A pause, but then Zoro sighed as he hugged her back and kissed her cheek. I'm sorry, Robin. He whispered. Ah, Aika and Kumi cooed. Look, Nami exclaimed. The memory's coming back. The Straw Hats turned to see the memory beginning to return. Mihawk stood on the wreckage of Don Krieg's old galleon, but past Zoro was staggering as blood dripped from his chest. Luffy's mouth was agape in horror while Johnny and Yosaku were in tears. "Why?" Past Sanji whispered. "See that?" asked one of the Krieg pirates. "That there's a taste of what the Grand Line is like. Even pirate hunter Zoro is no match for the likes of Hawkeye." "Hey, Sanji," said Blizzard to the cook. "If I didn't know better, I'd say that's the first time you were actually concerned for Zoro's life." "I just couldn't believe how far he was willing to go for his crazy ambition," said Sanji. "Seeing Hawkeye's sword cut into him like that, it scared the living crap out of me." "And no wonder," Chopper shouted. "The blade could have sliced his heart and lungs in two." "I get it, Chopper," Zoro shouted. "Geez, you idiot," Past Sanji yelled. "Don't you get it? Just abandon your stupid dream?" Splash! Past Zoro fell into the ocean, which prompted Johnny and Yosaku to leap in after him. And as for Luffy? Well, he was beyond pissed by now. "Damn you!" Luffy roared as he stretched his arm and rocketed himself toward Mihawk, to the shock of Past Sanji and the Baratie staff since it was the first time they actually saw his devil fruit powers, as well as the Krieg pirates. However, Mihawk simply glared at Luffy from under his hat, unfazed whatsoever. "The young swordsman's crewmate, I assume," the warlord said. "You did well to let him fight his own battle until the very end." He then sidestepped out of the way, causing Luffy to crash into some driftwood behind him. "Oh, no," Ika cried. "Now Big Brother's next." "Whoa, take it easy," Zoro said. "Calm down, alright? Just keep watching." "URRRGH. Luffy grunted as he pulled his head out of the wreckage, then glared up at Mihawk, who stared down at him. "Calm yourself," said Mihawk. "Your friend is very much alive." Hearing that caused Luffy to gasp in surprise before he heard the sound of splashing, followed by Johnny and Yosaku's voices. "Big Bro Zoro. Can you hear me? Speak to us, Big Bro." Luffy turned to see the two bounty hunters had managed to pull past Zoro up to the surface, the green-haired swordsman gasping for air as blood dripped from his wound in his mouth. "Zoro!" Luffy cried as Johnny and Yosaku pulled him onto their boat. "Oh, thank goodness," Ika said, relieved. "How did Zoro even survive that?" Kumi asked. "My name is Dracule Mihawk," Mihawk announced as Past Usopp, Johnny, and Yosaku were tending to Past Zoro's injuries. "Listen well. It is too soon for you to die. You should go out and discover yourself. See the world for what it has to offer, and grow stronger, Roronoa, however long it may take. I will wait for you at the top. Strive with all your heart, soul, and mind to best this blade of mine. Brave one. Go on. I challenge to surpass me, Roronoa." "Whoa," Nami whispered. "You really left an impression, didn't you?" Frankie asked. "I sure did," Zoro answered. "Hell, I even asked him to train me during those 2 years." "Say what?" Usopp questioned. "He trained you?" Blizzard asked. "I don't believe it," Robin whispered. "It wasn't easy," Zoro admitted. "It happened after Luffy sent that message to us. I had to toss aside my pride and get down on my hands and knees to get him to train me." "No way." Sanji gaped. "Hey, I had to get stronger, somehow," said Zoro. "You there, boy," Mihawk said to Luffy, who looked up at him. "Tell me, what is it that you strive for?" "To be king of the pirates," Luffy declared. "HMPH, Mihawk smirked. "You tread a perilous path. Even more perilous than trying to surpass me." "I don't care," Luffy yelled. "That's what I'm gonna be." He then stuck his tongue at the warlord. "Luffy," Past Usopp called. "Zoro's alive, bleeding, but alive." "Really?" Luffy asked in relief. "Big bro," cried Johnny. "Come on, say something, will you?" asked Yosaku, just as teary-eyed as his comrade. And that's when Past Zoro pointed his sword to the sky. "Zoro?" Luffy asked, worriedly. Luffy," Past Zoro called, panting heavily. Can you hear me?" "Why yeah, I can hear you," Luffy called. "You were worried about me, weren't you?" Past Zoro asked. I'm sorry I let you down. If I failed to become the world's greatest swordsman, you'd be disappointed, wouldn't you?" Luffy gasped silently while the Straw Hats looked toward the present Zoro, who watched with surprisingly misty eyes. "But I swear. From now on, I swear to you," Past Zoro shouted as tears fell from his eyes. "I will never lose again. Mihawk and Luffy both grinned at this declaration. From now to the day that I beat him to become the world's greatest swordsman, past Zoro continued. I will never lose again. You got a problem with that, King of the Pirates? She. Luffy laughed. Nope, wow, Aika whispered. I think that's the only time Zoro's ever cried. Zoro, whispered Robin. That was the time I officially declared my loyalty to Luffy, Zoro said. Back then, I only saw him as some idiot who was dreaming way too big. But then I realized something. Luffy's dream was a lot bigger, compared to my own. Just like Hawkeye said. I realized he was serious about all of this. And that meant that I had to take my ambition seriously, as well. That was the moment I took back everything I said about him. Well said, Brook said. Thanks, Zoro replied. Mihawk chuckled as he turned to head back to his coffin boat. You two make quite an impressive team, he mused. I hope I encounter you two again, one day. Wait, just 1 minute there, Hawkeye, Don Krieg called. I thought you came here to take the head of Don Krieg, the tyrant of the East Blue. Your head? Mihawk repeated. You were never my concern to begin with. But I think I've had enough entertainment for now, so I'm going off to take a little rest, if you don't mind. Oh. Blizzard whispered. Don't go, just yet, fancy pants, Don Krieg exclaimed. You may have had your fun, but I've only been on the receiving end of it. Don Krieg? Questioned one of his men, nervously. If the man wants to leave, then just let him leave, for the love of God, cried another. Now it's my turn to have some fun with you, Don Krieg smirked before he opened his armor, revealing many gun barrels hidden inside. Die, Hawkeye. You are indeed, Mihawk began as he drew his sword, again, a slow learner. Definitely is, Zoro nodded in agreement. Farewell, said Mihawk. As he swung his sword, creating a powerful wave that sent many of the Krieg pirates flying into the sea, and the Straw Hats instinctively shielded themselves, even though they knew the water wouldn't really touch them. Whoa! Luffy NTO the railing of the Baratie, then turned to past Usopp, Johnny, and Yosaku, who had passed Zoro with them. Usopp, set sail, hurry. Got it, past Usopp called back as he held up Luffy's hat, which had flown off when the Straw Hat captain tried to attack Mihawk. We'll go after Nami, and you stay here and have that cook join up with us. He then tossed the Straw Hat to Luffy. And then, once we've got everyone together, we'll all go to the Grand Line. You bet, Luffy called back as he caught his hat and put it on his head, while the Straw Hats all smiled. Hey, Luffy! Past Sanji called, causing Luffy to turn and see the Krieg pirates, who preparing to invade. Here come the locusts, now. Hey, Luffy smirked before he looked up at Zeph and the Baratie staff. Hey, Pops. If I beat these guys for you, then does mean my debt's repaid? A pause, but then Zeph smirked. You got a deal, kid, he said, now go wild. With that, the memory faded to black. That was quite a moving speech you made, Brook said to Zoro, who sighed. Yeah, he muttered, but I can't believe I was so disrespectful of Luffy. And not just because of what I said about him before I fought with Hawkeye. What do you mean? Asked Aika. I think he's talking about is when Luffy told him to go after Nami, Blizzard began, but instead, he chose to fight with Mihawk because back then, the only thing that mattered to Zoro was fulfilling his dream. And if Luffy tried to interfere in any way, he would have killed himself, Chopper concluded, just like Zoro made him promise to do. My God, Zoro whispered. Well, at least you learned from that, Frankie said. That's the important thing. Yeah, Zoro nodded. You're right. Soon another memory appeared, and this time, it showed Luffy, past Sanji, and the staff of the Baratie, preparing to fight off the Krieg pirates. It seemed like a pretty typical fight. Luffy scaring the living daylights out of the mooks with his devil fruit powers. But the only one who remained unfazed was Don Krieg, himself, even going as far as to shoot one of his men, who was too terrified to go back to the Grand Line because of everything that had transpired there. He remained entirely convinced that Mihawk was another devil fruit user, which was why he was so dead set on not only claiming the Baratie as his own, but also taking Zeph's old logbook of his pirate days, believing it would contain information on the Grand Line and even the location of the One Piece itself. Such a despicable man, Brook said with great disdain. Shooting his own men, like that. He's no different from that Kuro fellow. Tell me about it, Usopp concurred. You really think that Mr. Zeph knows where the One Piece is, Sanji? Asked Aika. I wouldn't know, answered Sanji. I never even took one peek at his logbook, and even if he did know, you'd think he would have found it a long time ago. I suppose so, Usopp concurred as they continued to watch the memory. It seemed the Bharati chefs were biting off more than they could chew, no pun intended, of course, for the Krieg pirates were beginning to get the upper hand. Especially when one of Don Krieg's second unit commander, Pearl, came on board the Bharati and easily dispatched of Patty and Carne. Whoa! Usopp cried as he saw the rotund man strike the two cooks down with his pearl-embedded shields. Did you see that? How can we not? Nami asked. Pearls, huh? Frankie inquired. I never would have thought to utilize jewels that way. Don Krieg also had brass knuckles with diamonds in them, said Sanji. When these guys play, they play dirty. Well, he's called foul play Krieg for a reason, Nami said as the memory continued. One of the Krieg pirates had tried to take away Patty's cooking knife once he was down, but he refused to relinquish it, even going as far as to grab the blade of the knife with his bare hand, causing it to bleed. That's when past Sanji ran up and kicked the pirate in the face, and the Straw Hats cringed when they heard the sound of his foe's facial bones cracking, and not just that, but that pirate ended up flying into several more behind him before they finally slammed into Pearl, who remained unfazed, due to them hitting the shield covering his torso. Ooh, Blizzard winced. That had to hurt. Yeah? Go Sanji, Aika cheered, which caused Sanji to smirk with pride. A chef's knife, past Sanji as he caught the knife in his hand, is his soul. A crap pirate like had better not get his grimy paws on it. Sanji. Patty groaned. Here, Patty, past Sanji said as he handed Patty the knife. Hold it tightly while you die. I'll take care of these bastards for you, okay? Take care of us, huh? Yelled one of the pirates as he and a few others charged at past Sanji. Yeah, right. No two big cooks are gonna defeat us, yelled another. But when one tried to stab the blonde cook, he suddenly vanished into thin air. What the? One of them questioned. Where did he? Wabam. Past Sanji was on his hands as he gave a whirling kick to the Krieg pirates, sending them flying. Two big cooks, huh? Past Sanji asked with a dark glare in his eyes. I'm gonna make you wish you didn't say those words, bastards. Wow, exclaimed Chopper. That was so cool, eh? Zoro shrugged. I could have done better. Excuse me? Sanji asked. At that moment, Pearl gave a wry laugh. So you took out those weaklings with just kicks alone, said Pearl. You seem pretty clever. Is that your fighting style, cook? Damn right, past Sanji replied with a confident smirk. A cook's hands are his life. I can't risk damaging them in battle. I'll finish you with my legs, too. You, finish me? Pearl inquired. That's impossible. In 61 battles to death, I've won them all, and without a single scratch on me. I am the invincible iron wall of the Krieg pirates. You may protect your hands, but I protect my entire body when I fight. I've never lost a single drop of blood in battle. Not one, and no cuts, either. That's how tough I am. I am Pearl, the invincible iron wall. I am the shield man, and I'm incredibly handsome, as well as smooth and polished as silver. What the hell's he talking about? Asked Luffy, watching from a nearby mast that he was clinging to. Not another one of these gloaters, Nami muttered in annoyance. Tell me about it, agreed Robin. Is it really possible to protect your whole body while you fight? Aika asked. Maybe, Sanji began, but if you use too much of a defense, you can't really focus on your other strengths. Say, for instance, you're wearing a heavy suit of metal armor. Sure, it can protect you, but you can't really move much, now can you? I guess not, Aika answered. It would be pretty hard to move. And if you can't move, you can't fight, can you? Asked Kumi. Let alone escape if you need to. Good lesson, girls, Blizzard nodded. Hey, Straw Hat. Don Krieg called as he held a spiked ball and chain at Luffy. Don't you know to never take your eyes off your opponent? On that, he swung the spiked ball at Luffy, who cried out in surprise as the mast broke. Then he threw it at the raven-haired boy, which didn't hurt him, of course, due to his rubbery body, but it did end up sending him backwards, right towards past Sanji and Pearl, the former getting blocked by the latter's pearl shields on his hands. However, Luffy ended up crashing right into the back of Pearl's head, which caused him to slam his face into the back of his shield. "Oh, boy, here it comes," Sanji muttered. "Here what comes?" Brook inquired. "Phew," Luffy sighed as he dusted off his pants. "That sure scared me. I'm glad I didn't fall into the sea." That's when he noticed that Pearl had suddenly gotten silent, and as he turned around, he saw that the result of him hitting his face against his shield had caused Pearl's nose to bleed. And for some reason, it was causing him to shudder, and the Krieg pirates were beginning to panic, as well. "Not again," Don Krieg muttered in irritation. "Wait, what's happened? How come they're all bugging out?" Usopp inquired. "You'll see," Sanji replied. Soon, Pearl began to sweat profusely and yell while clanging his shields together, and the Krieg pirates were doing their damnedest to calm him down, but to no avail. That's when Pearl somehow sent his whole body ablaze, causing the Straw Hats to shield their eyes. "What the hell?" Frankie questioned. "What's going on?" Blizzard asked. "Why'd he light himself on fire like that?" "The Krieg pirates say he was living in the jungle since he was a kid, and because of that, he was always surrounded by vicious beasts," Sanji answered. "To keep them at bay, he'd light up a fire, but the guy got paranoid because of it. Even the tiniest drop of blood will make him go nuts." "Talk about a severe case of hemophobia," Robin mused. "Get away from me," Pearl yelled as he held up several smaller pearls in his fingers. "Fire pearl, lucky you." He then threw the pearls onto the fin of the Baratie, thus setting it on fire and forcing Luffy, past Sanji, and even some of the Baratie staff and Krieg pirates to flee from the flames. "Whoa!" Usopp cried. "Is he nuts?" "Yes," Nami answered. "Burn, all of you!" Pearl yelled. "With my fire and flaming shield, I'm beyond invincible." "That moron!" Don Krieg yelled. "We need that ship and he's gonna destroy it." "Ow, ha ha!" Luffy cried as he ran around with the seat of his pants ablaze. "My butt's on fire." Although they tried not to, the Straw Hats did snicker just a bit at the sight. However, the Krieg pirates and the Baratie staff were forced to jump into the water to save themselves from burning. Patty actually seemed to show concern for past Sanji when he tried to charge at him and leapt over the flames, to Pearl's shock. "What?" Pearl questioned. "How can this be? Not even a wild beast would jump over that huge wall of flames." "You're a real moron, aren't you?" asked past Sanji as he held up his cigarette. "If I'm afraid of a little fire, then how can I be a chef?" "Even I'm not afraid of fire," Blizzard added. "Damn you," Pearl cursed as he tried to punch Sanji with his shield. "This one's smooth as polished silver," flaming Pearl's surprise. Past Sanji grunted as he ducked down, then threw his leg up and kicked Pearl right in the face, which only succeeded him in making him more crazed than before. He attempted to burn down the whole Baratie by tossing more fire pearls in the air, and some of them were headed straight for Zeph. However, the retired pirate simply gave an uncaring glare as he did a roundhouse kick with his peg leg, extinguishing the flames on the pearls and reducing them to nothing more than little white balls. "Hooah!" Ika exclaimed with starry eye. "Did you see that?" "That was amazing," Chopper exclaimed, just as amazed as her. "He put the flames out with his own peg leg," Kumi exclaimed. "What did I tell ya?" Sanji asked with a proud grin. "Nothing stops that old timer." "He's kinda like Rayleigh, a little bit," Usopp added. "Whoa!" Luffy exclaimed in awe. "Nice moves there, Pops." "Yeah," cheered the Baratie staff. "All right, boss, way to go." Of course. What did you expect from him? As for the Krieg pirates, they were all gaping in shock at what they had witnessed. They just couldn't believe that such an old pirate still had such skill, even after his retirement. However, Don Krieg was not very impressed, for he threw his ball and chain at the Baratie, still hell-bent on getting the ship foe himself, even if it meant destroying the fin and killing Pearl to get it. Just when it was about to make impact, however, Luffy jumped in the way. "Gum Goom! Bazooka!" he yelled as he threw the ball back at Don Krieg's ship, to past Sanji's surprise. "He tossed that thing right back," he exclaimed. "Ow, ooh, oh, hot, fire, hot," Luffy cried as he kept trying to put out his flaming pants by patting his hands on his buttocks. He does know he could just dip his butt in the water, right?" Kumi asked. "I don't think he does," Chopper answered. "Whoa, look out!" Past Sanji yelled as he and Luffy spotted one of the broken masts from Don Krieg's ship beginning to fall towards them, forcing them to jump out of the way. However, Pearl wasn't really paying attention and ended up getting knocked out cold, to the shock of the Krieg pirates. "Man, what a freak," said past Sanji. "He was an idiot, too," Luffy added, but then a cry of surprise from behind them got their attention. "Hold it, Sanji." Past Sanji and Luffy turned to see Jin, who was holding Zeph down to the deck at gunpoint. "I don't want to kill you," he shouted. "Oh, no," Ika cried. "Mr. Zeph." "Jin, what are you doing?" Luffy questioned. "Jin," past Sanji hissed. "I don't care if he was once a legendary pirate," Jin said. "Now, he's just a cook. I don't have any problem with shooting brains out." A closer look revealed that Jin was holding a piece of Zeph's peg leg in his hand, and it didn't take long to realize how he had incapacitated him. "That bastard," yelled Patty. "He went and broke the boss's peg leg." "I knew he was trouble," Carne added. "How could he do that?" Nami asked. "After everything you did for him, Sanji." Sanji sighed and shook his head. "Even now, I still don't know what he was thinking," he muttered. "Damn him." Luffy cursed as he attempted to go up and punch Jin out. "I ought to send him flying." "Hold it, Luffy," past Sanji said as he held him back. "Let's hear him out, first." "You want your boss to live, don't you?" asked Jin. "Then leave this ship, right now." "Leave this ship?" past Sanji repeated before he gritted his teeth. "Hell no, I refuse." Hearing that caused the Bharati cooks to gasp in horror. "You moron," Zoro said. "Couldn't you see your boss was in trouble?" "It was because of that I didn't leave," Sanji argued. "Sanji, are you insane?" asked one of the cooks. "Don't provoke him, or he'll kill the boss." But past Sanji ignored them. "Hey, you crap geezer," said past Sanji. "You're really set a bad example for your staff." "HMPH," Zeph scoffed. "I don't want to hear any kind of trash coming from your mouth, you damn eggplant." "Stop calling me that," past Sanji barked. "Damn it, I'm not a kid anymore." "Sanji, this is no time to argue," yelled one of the cooks. "I thought he was trying to save the boss," cried another. "Jin," said past Sanji. "Take your gun, and shoot me, instead." "What?" Luffy questioned in disbelief. "Sanji, are you crazy? He'll kill you." "What?" the Bharati staff cried. "Sanji, why?" asked Jin in disbelief. "Because a son feels like he has to protect his old man," Sanji whispered, "that's why." "Sanji," Nami said, sadly. "If you want to die, so badly," Pearl's voice spoke from behind him, "then I'll polish you off like silver." "Oh, no, that crazy guy, again," Usopp bemoaned as Pearl stood to his feet. "I never would have imagined that I, the invincible Pearl, would get 2 bloody noses in one battle," Pearl said. "I'm feeling very threatened, right now. So don't you move, or I'll blast your boss to Kingdom Come. Now here comes the absolutely natural, Pearl surprise." Then, he punched past Sanji in the face, sending him flying across the deck until he crashed into the wall. "Sanji," Luffy cried, "why didn't you dodge it?" "Because if I didn't," past Sanji began, "then Jin would kill the boss." He then looked over at Jin, who was absolutely stunned. "Jin, it's just unfair. I can't do what you ask." "Why can't you?" Jin questioned. "It's easy, just leave the ship, and everyone will be spared." "I can't do that," past Sanji barked. "This ship, this restaurant, is the old man's pride and joy." The Straw Hats glanced at Sanji, who quietly lit up a cigarette before he took a drag and puffed out some smoke. It was then that his past self began to go into a speech about how Zeph had lost everything, just to make sure that Sanji lived, even as he was taking a severe beating from Pearl. "Sanji," asked Nami, "if you don't mind me asking, what X that, when you said that Zeph had given everything he had?" "When I was a kid," Sanji began, "I was working as an apprentice cook on this passenger ship, called the Orbit, when the old man and his crew raided the ship and attacked everyone on board. There was a huge storm going about, and he and I ended up getting tossed overboard. We ended up stranded on a rock in the middle of the sea, with no help in sight. The only thing we had were 2 bags of food. I tried to eat it sparingly so it would last about 4 or 5 days. But on the 5th day, there was another storm, so this passing ship didn't see us." And then what?" Kumi asked, worriedly. "Days passed," Sanji continued. "I started to ration my food more in order to last a bit longer. But after 25 days, it got moldy, but I didn't care. My stomach was so empty. I just had to eat something. Even a moldy piece of bread. But it was the last of my food. It tasted horrible and it was hard to swallow, but I still didn't care. I choked it down as best I could, but it eventually fell out of my fingers. More days passed. 30 days. 50 days. Then 70. Finally, I decided that I would kill the old man and take the food he had left. It was his fault I was in the mess I was in, anyway. Or so I believed. What happened? Asked Usopp. I went over. Tore opened the huge bag he had to steal his food, Sanji explained. But it turned out it wasn't food at all. It was treasure, tons of it. Treasure? Frankie questioned. But wait, Blizzard said. If he had treasure, then, what did he do for food? There's a reason he has that peg leg, you know, Sanji answered. He ate it, didn't he? Robin asked, sadly. Yeah, Sanji answered, causing Ika to gasp, while Zoro seemed a bit unnerved by this revelation. My word. Brook whispered in horror. He ate it? Chopper asked in shock. And, he gave you the food, Nami concluded, which caused Sanji to nod. The old man had no reason to be kind to me, Sanji began, except for one thing. He and I both had the same dream to seek out the legendary All Blue. After 85 days of sitting, waiting, and nearly starving to death, a ship finally appeared and saved us both. It was from that day on that we founded the Bharati together. If the Straw Hats didn't know better, they could have sworn that they momentarily heard the cook's voice break. Then, out of nowhere, Nami went up and hugged Sanji, whose visible eye widened in surprise. Nami, he asked. What are you? This is just a friend comforting another friend, said Nami. Don't think too much of it, okay? Hey, Sanji chuckled. Yeah, thanks, anytime, Nami replied before the Straw Hats noticed past Sanji get up. You ate your own foot, he began as he forced himself to stand, just to save me. Sanji, Luffy exclaimed. What? Pearl questioned in anger. How could he survive such a powerful blow to the head like that? There's no way I'm gonna let you take this restaurant, past Sanji declared. And I'm not let you kill the old man, either. That idiot sacrificed himself, all to save some worthless boy. So I'll defend him with my life and repay my debt to him. Luffy's eyes went wide at the cook's proclamation. Not bad, cook, Zoro said. Looks like you got some balls, after all. Just don't expect me to give you any more compliments, got that? Oh, trust me, said Sanji. If you complimented me a lot more than you do, I'd actually be worried. Sanji, Zeph called. I don't want any favors, got me? I don't need some eggplant protecting me. Favors, huh? Past Sanji inquired as he fixed his tie. Who did whom the favor? If you hadn't eaten your leg for my sake, you'd never have lose to these damn pirates. Despite his bravado, the Straw Hats could see that past Sanji was shaking a bit. Sanji, you shouldn't have gotten up, Chopper said. You suffered a major blow to the head, you know, you could have had a serious concussion. I know, Sanji answered, but I didn't care. I had to protect old man Zeph. Why, Sanji? Jin asked. Why did you stand up, again? Ahahaha, laughed Pearl. So, you want more of my Pearl surprises, do you? You do realize that you can't possibly win, don't you? In this world, it's winner take all, and the losers get nothing. And whatever the prize is, the winner crushes the competition, am I wrong, Don Krieg? No, Don Krieg answered. You're absolutely right, Pearl. You couple of big meanies. Ika yelled. Yeah, who do you guys think you are? Kumi questioned. Am I wrong, Jin? Pearl asked, but Jin only looked away, seeming ashamed of his actions. Look at him, Robin said. It's clear Jin doesn't want to do this. I know he didn't want to do it, said Sanji, but the guy was just too stubborn to admit it. Why do I even need to ask you? Asked Pearl. After all, you're the clear leader when it comes to ruthlessness. He then pointed at past Sanji. We'll crush you and there's nothing you fools can do about it. Why bother standing up? You're clearly wasting your strength. Because, past Sanji smirked, for just one moment longer. I want this place to remain a restaurant. Hearing that caused Pearl to laugh even more, while Luffy just continued to stand by. However, the Straw Hats knew by the look in his eyes that he wasn't about to hold back much longer. Your words mean nothing, Pearl said. I'm afraid it's time this restaurant to close down, and soon, it will be reopened for business. As a pirate ship. That did it. Luffy raised his head up, showing a fierce glare in his eyes that the Straw Hats knew all too well. Then, he stretched his leg, high up into the air to the point where it nearly seemed to touch the heavens above. Goom goom. Wait, no, past Sanji cried. Don't do it, Jin will shoot the old man. Battle AAAAAAAAAAXE. Luffy yelled as he brought his foot down, destroying the Barati's fin. What the hell? Frankie questioned. What did Luffy go and do that for? Blizzard asked. Because back then, Sanji began, he'd rather see the restaurant get destroyed than see it in Krieg's hand. I didn't understand at the time because I was still set in my own ways. And Mr. Zeph was okay with that? Aika asked. Yup, Sanji answered, nonchalantly as the memory continued. That boy's trying something, said Krieg. Jin, hurry and blow a hole in Red Leg Zeph's head. But Don Krieg. Jin stammered, the pistol now shaking in his hand. Hold on, Luffy exclaimed. I didn't even touch you guys, all I did was bust up the fin. Hey, Luffy. Past Sanji yelled. What the hell do you think you're doing? This ship, Luffy replied, bluntly. I'm gonna sink it. You're gonna WHAT? The Barati staff and the Krieg pirates yelled in horror. Is this some kind of sick joke? Patty questioned. That ship is supposed to be ours, yelled the Krieg pirates. Jin, Don Krieg ordered, sounding a bit more panicked, this time. What are you waiting for? Kill Zeph, already. Are you out of your mind? Past Sanji questioned as he grabbed Luffy by the collar of his vest. You can't sink this ship. I've slaved away nearly all my life on her. But if I sink, they've got no reason to stay, right? Luffy asked. He does make a good point, Nami said. That's Luffy for you, Zoro added. He may be dumb at times, but sometimes, his logic is straight. Jin only stood in disbelief while Zeph chuckled in his throat. You just don't get it. Past Sanji hissed. You don't understand my feelings towards this ship and the massive debt that I have. And for that, you plan to die? Luffy asked as he swatted his hand off of him, then grabbed past Sanji by the collar of his jacket and pulled him close to his face with a furious glare in his eyes. Getting killed? That's how you want to repay your debt? The only man saved you because he wanted to do something with your life, not to die like a fool. Only a coward would do something like that. Then how else them from taking the crap geezer's ship? Past Sanji questioned. Oh, shit, Sanji cursed in realization. I get it now. What do you mean? Usopp asked. Luffy's talking about how Shanks saved him, Sanji said. He was referring to that time. But how the hell was I supposed to know, back then? Are you two done? Asked Pearl, causing the two to turn to face him. It was your misfortune to meet with us, the Krieg pirate. There's nothing you can do about this, now. Not when we've got a hostage. He then held up his flaming shields. Now, burn and die with this last Fire Pearl surprise. But just before he could strike Luffy and past Sanji down, Jin suddenly ran up and struck him with these club-like weapons, and completely shattered his shield. Ha! Brook gasped. Whoa, he's so strong, Chopper exclaimed. He shattered the shield like it was nothing, Aika whispered in shock. Jin? Past Sanji questioned. What are you doing? Sorry about this, Pearl, said Jin. Just step aside. Pearl gagged as blood spilled from his mouth. Why, Jin, on that, he soon collapsed. Jin, cried one of the Krieg pirates in disbelief. Why did you strike down Pearl? Jin, you son of a bitch, Don Krieg yelled. How dare you betray me like this? I'm sorry, Don Krieg, Jin apologized, but we do owe Sanji our lives. He then turned to face past Sanji while holding his weapon against his shoulder. So, allow me to send him to the grave by my own hands. What did you say? Past Sanji asked. Oh, no, Aika whispered, but then Sanji held out his hand to her, causing her to glance up at him before she firmly grasped it and continued to watch the memory. Cover her eyes when things get too brutal, Sanji whispered to Robin, who nodded her head. I can't believe it, whispered Patty. That guy managed to shatter his shield, just like that. Maybe he's not just some mook, added Carne. Phew, Luffy sighed. See? Everything worked out. You liar, Past Sanji barked. You really were planning to sink the ship? Have you lost your mind? Don Krieg started. Jin, battle commander of the pirate armada? Battle commander? Nami asked. That's right, Sanji answered. Jin was Don Krieg's right hand. No wonder he's so strong, Kumi exclaimed. Sanji, Jin said. I was hoping you'd leave this ship without getting hurt. But I'm afraid that's not happening. Sorry, Past Sanji answered. I'm afraid not. Then I guess the best I can offer you, Jin began, is to kill you myself. Aika whimpered as she gripped Sanji's hand, but the cook gave her a reassuring pat on the head, causing her to smile up at him. She knew that this was all just a memory and that Sanji would actually be okay, since he was standing right here. But she was still worried about his past self. That goes for you, too, Straw Hat, Jin said. You should have just left with your crew. Why should I have left? Luffy asked. I'm not gonna lose to a bunch of wusses like you. While Jin seemed unfazed by the comment, the Krieg pirates took very much offense to it while the Straw Hats snickered. What did you say, you smart-mouthed kid? How dare you say that about us, and to our battle commander's face? We're the Krieg pirates, the strongest in the East Blue. Maybe, Luffy answered, but only because you outnumber all the other pirates in the East Blue. Hearing that made the Krieg pirates even angrier than before, while the Straw Hats burst into laughter. One thing that would never change about Luffy. He sure know how to piss off the enemy. You sure hit him where it hurts, said Past Sanji, humorously as he blew out a puff of smoke. Well, I was only speaking the truth, said Luffy. The Krieg pirates were ready to maul him to death at this point, but just as they were all about to clamber up onto the destroyed fin of the Bharati. Stop, you morons, Don Krieg yelled, causing them all to freeze. But Don Krieg, complained one of his men, he insulted us. Getting all worked up over being called wusses, Don Krieg began, only shows that you acknowledge your weakness. Is that true? Aika asked. In a way, he's right, said Robin. If you react to insults, it shows you're weak inside. That's why Luffy always remains nonchalant whenever people insult him. The outcome of this battle, Don Krieg smirked, will tell who's strong or weak, and since I, Don Krieg, am here, you can quit your bitching. Hearing that caused his crew to cheer in agreement. You sure gotta hand it to him, said Frankie. Guy's an ass, but he's got charisma. Maybe, Nami answered, but Luffy's got way more charisma. Tons more, Blizzard added. You, boy, Don Krieg called to Luffy. Tell me, of the two of us, here, who has more of a chance of becoming the king of the pirates? Duh, Luffy replied. That's me. Yeah, Big Brother's obviously gonna be the next king of the pirates, Aika agreed. Now it was Don Krieg's turn to get pissed. He stood up and began to take off the left shoulder plate on his armor and aimed it at the Bharati, which caused his men to panic. Oh, no, one cried. Don't tell me he's gonna use that. Use what? Aika asked. What are they talking about? Don Krieg, please, Jin cried. Not the MH5, the what now? Luffy repeated. MH5? Asked one of the cooks that was spectating the fight. Did he say MH5? Chopper whispered in horror. What is it, Chopper? Kumi asked. MH5 is a deadly, poisonous gas, Chopper answered. If you inhale it, it'll almost guarantee death unless the antidote is administered immediately. What? Aika questioned. He was going to use poison gas? Usopp asked in disbelief. Despicable, Brook whispered, remembering how he and his former crew members died due to getting hit with poison weapons. If it's a cannonball, Luffy started, then I'll just use the gum-gum balloon to bounce it back. Don Krieg, please, Jin pleaded. Don't be hasty, I'll kill the kid. It doesn't matter whose hand kills him, Don Krieg replied. You know that above all else, I despise things such as honor and mercy. He really is awful, Aika said. I can sense nothing but evil come off of him. He's rotten, right to the core. Robin only stared coldly at Don Krieg. She had seen too many people like him throughout her life. Men like him was what she despised, most of all. This is war, Jin, Don Krieg declared. And when you're at war, the only thing that matters is victory. Winning is everything, even if it means using the poison gas cannonball. On that, his shoulder plate opened up, revealing a cannon barrel inside. Poison gas? Past Sanji repeated in shock. No, Don Krieg, don't. Jin pleaded. This is true strength, Don Krieg shouted as he fired the cannon, and the Krieg pirates planted gas masks on their faces while the Bharati staff dived underwater to keep from breathing in the gas. However, that's when the Straw Hats noticed something. Don Krieg wasn't wearing a mask at all. It's no problem, Luffy exclaimed, confidently, as he rushed to stop the cannonball. I'll just kick it down into the water. Wait, come back, Past Sanji cried. Wait, Straw Hat, Jin shouted, it's a trap. But Luffy was too late, as Don Krieg gave a sly smirk. Then, the cannonball exploded, and instead of gas, the Straw Hat captain was hit with a rain of shuriken, which sliced through his skin. Ah! Luffy cried as he dropped to the destroyed fin. Damn it, that hurt. Oh, no, big brother, Ika cried, worriedly. He was too hasty, said Zoro. Should have stood back. I thought something was weird when Don Krieg didn't put on his mask, Usopp added. Hey, wait a minute. Luffy realized, that wasn't gas. You think, Past Sanji questioned. Use your head next time. Ha 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 ha, laughed Don Krieg. You don't use something as valuable as my MH5 for this. I could annihilate an entire village with one of those things. You think I would waste it to kill Dirty Peace? Big brother is not trash, Ika yelled. HMPH, Luffy huffed as he stood up, brushing off his earlier blunder. I see. Well, I guess you get a point for that one. You think I'm playing games? Don Krieg questioned, angered by Luffy's casual behavior. I have many more ways of killing you, now. I'm gonna ask again. Which one of us has more of a chance of becoming king of the pirates, here? Come on, are you stupid? Luffy asked. The answer to that is a simple no-brainer. Don Krieg smirked, thinking that the raven-haired teen was going to say his name, but once again. It's gonna be me, Luffy exclaimed. You don't have what it takes to become king of the pirates. Don Krieg growled while the Straw Hats couldn't help laughing, despite the seriousness of the situation. Jin, the tyrant yelled. Do your duty and send that damned cook to hell. He then glared at Luffy. As for this impudent boy, I'll kill him, myself. Oh, Don Krieg's pissed, now, whispered one of the Krieg pirates. I understand, Don Krieg. Jin answered. Sorry, Sanji, but you don't have a chance at winning. Hey, Past Sanji smirked. We'll see about that, you small fry bastard. Thus, the fight began. While Luffy was busy with Don Krieg, Past Sanji took on Jin, who charged at him while holding up his weapon in attempt to strike the cook down. However, Past Sanji leapt up into the air before he could get hit and tried to land a kick to Jin's face, but the man ducked his head down to avoid it. Do you know what they say about me, Sanji? Jin asked with this almost wicked grin on his face. They call me, the cold-blooded demon. He soon pinned Past Sanji to the piece of shattered wood with weapon, preparing to bash his head in with the other. I can't show you any mercy, now, Jin said, goodbye. Oh, no, not good, Kumi cried, and it seemed that the Bharati staff agreed with her sentiment. However, Past Sanji remained surprisingly calm, puffing out smoke from his nostrils. Then, just as Jin was about to kill him, he spat his cigarette into his face, causing him to grunt in slight pain as it burned him before Past Sanji slipped out, stood on his hands, and kicked Jin in the jaw. However, Jin was not about to be outdone, for he slammed his club into Past Sanji's right side, causing a sickening crack to fill the air. The Straw Hats cringed, knowing it was the sound of his ribs, which were already busted from the beating he took from Pearl. Despite this, Past Sanji continued to fight, and while he was busy, Luffy attempted to go after Don Krieg by running across the fallen mast. However, he saw him coming and fired several bombs into the water, which caused some of it to spray up and obscure Luffy's vision. The next thing he knew, he found himself turning tail and running back to the Bharati, holding his hat protectively in his arms, before he got skewered in his left thigh by a metal green and yellow striped stake. Robin was forced to cover Ika's eyes at that point to keep her from worrying any further. Lousy bastard, Luffy yelled, you wanna fight? Do I wanna fight? Don Krieg inquired. I don't need a desire. Battle demands only the tools and methods of death. That's military might, boy. And what can you do? Just charge ahead like a wild ape. Oh, yeah? Luffy asked as he stretched his cheeks, showing his teeth. Well, how about I bite your head off? His taunting did nothing to faze Krieg, however, for soon, he heard the sound of blows landing behind him. Luffy turned, and saw that past Sanji was lying on the floor, clutching his injuries while Jin stood over him, his weapons dripping with blood. "Oh, no," Usopp cried. "Sanji, you really took a beating there," Blizzard added. "What were you thinking?" Chopper asked. "You already took a pummeling from that Pearl guy. How many ribs did you break?" "About 5 or 6, Sanji admitted. "What?" Chopper questioned in disbelief. "Ha. Ha." Past Sanji panted. "Those skewered dumplings that you call weapons aren't doing much, are they, Jin?" He then gave a forced grin, despite his pain. "You damn bastard. I'll finish you off, here and now," Jin said as he rushed him, "so don't move." Past Sanji grunted before he jumped onto his right hand, causing Jin to miss, or so it looked like. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Past Sanji asked. "You trying to miss on purpose? Stop screwing around." Bam! He kicked Jin in the back of his skull, sending him to the floor. But in doing so, he cried out in pain as he began to cough up blood. "What happened?" Frankie questioned. "I pushed myself way too far," Sanji answered. "It got so bad, I couldn't even take the shock of my own attacks anymore." "Honestly," Nami exclaimed. "Between you, Zoro, Luffy, and even Blizzard, none of you monsters know your limits, do you?" The Krieg pirates soon laughed at past Sanji's expense as Jin prepared to finish him off. But just when he was about to, tears began to fall from his eyes. I, he whispered before he threw his head to the sky. "I can't kill this man. Don Krieg." Hearing that caused everyone around him to gape in shock and disbelief at what he had just said. I just can't kill him," Jin cried. "What did you say?" Don Krieg asked, angrily. "Say that again, I dare you." That was the first time that anyone had been so kind to me," Jin sobbed, while the Straw Hats all smiled. That's why I can't kill him." "You stupid son of a bitch," Don Krieg hissed as he held up his shoulder plate again, much to the shock of his men. "You can't bring yourself to kill him, huh? You disappoint me, Jin. I thought that out of all my men, you would faithfully execute the principles of the Krieg pirates. I made you the battle commander of my armada because of your strength and ruthlessness in your bloodthirsty pursuit of victory. I believed that you were unsurpassed in these things. But I see now that I was wrong." Aika whimpered as she clutched Sanji's hand, causing him to hold her close to him. I'm so sorry," Jin apologized. "I would never betray Don Krieg. I don't regret anything I've done in your service. I respect your strength, and I thank you." "Jin," past Sanji whispered. "But this is the one person that I just can't kill," Jin cried. "Don Krieg. Is there any way at all, that this ship could be spared?" Hearing that caused Don Krieg to tense up with rage, while the Krieg pirates froze in fear. "Inexcusable!" Don Krieg yelled. "How dare you, my most trusted officer, refuse to obey my order? What the hell has gotten into you, Jin?" On that, the Krieg pirates panicked as they put on their gas masks, realizing that Don Krieg was planning to use the MH5 for real, this time. Jin, trying to get through to his leader, prepared to put on his mask, as well, but Don Krieg, no longer seeing him as part of his crew, ordered him to drop his mask. This shocked the Krieg pirates, for Jin was the most loyal out of all the crew, and even went as far as to use himself as a diversion to Lieutenant Full Body so Don Krieg and the others could get away after they escaped the Grand Line. "It just goes to show you how much some people can take others for granted," said Nami. "Thank the stars Luffy didn't turn out that way," Brook added. "Look," Aika exclaimed as she saw Luffy trying to rush Don Krieg again. However, this time, Krieg destroyed the mast that Luffy was using to cross over, forcing to hang on tight so that he wouldn't fall into the ocean, then turn and run again when Krieg fired the stakes at him, again. "Jin," Luffy called. "Don't listen to that bastard Krieg. Got it? Because I'm about to kick his ass." "Straw Hat." Jin whispered in disbelief. But then he snarled. "Straw Hat, you shouldn't talk about that Krieg that way. Don Krieg is the mightiest man alive. A runt like you couldn't even dream of beating him." "Are you insane?" past Sanji questioned. "Open your eyes, you idiot. He's trying to kill Yo." "I know," Jin answered. "I'm a coward. A fool who let some damn sentiment get in the way of my duty. I deserve the death penalty. On that, he tossed his mask into sea. He really is nuts, Nami said. How can someone be that blindly loyal? I suppose it's hard to realize the person you followed endlessly would kill you without a second thought, Sanji answered. I guess Jin just wanted to believe that Krieg was a good leader. Poison gas bomb. MH5. Krieg yelled as he put on his mask and fired the bomb at the Bharati. Patty and Carne hurriedly got Zeph inside to avoid the gas, while the rest of the cooks dived into the sea and the Krieg pirates put on their masks. However, Luffy ran up and grabbed 2 masks from them, tossing them to past Sanji and Jin, but when he went to get one for himself, he saw that the pirates had escaped before he could. Ah! Luffy cried in a panic. What am I gonna do? He's gonna hit, Chopper shouted, but then, out of nowhere, a mask suddenly appeared by Luffy's side. Not questioning how it got there, he hastily grabbed it and put it on his face, just when the bomb finally hit. Dot and the memory faded to black, once again. The Straw Hats had instinctively covered their mouths when Don Krieg fired that MH5 bomb, even though they knew that this was just Luffy's memory, and therefore, they couldn't be harmed. However, the same could not be said for anyone who had been affected by the gas. As the memory began to return, they saw Luffy was lying on the deck on his belly, holding the gas mask that had been tossed to him to his face. Phew, I'm alive. That mask appeared just in time. Thank goodness, Chopper whispered in relief. Yeah, that mask did appear just in time. Ika agreed. But, where did it come from? Wait for it, Sanji replied. RRRRGH. Jin. Let go. A familiar voice urged. You can let go, now. As the gas began to clear, the Straw Hats, save for Zoro, Sanji, and Robin, all gasped in horror as they saw past Sanji, pinned to the floor, with Jin pressing his gas mask onto his face. As for Jin, himself, his skin was very pale and blood was practically pouring out of his mouth. Oh, no, Chopper shrieked. Ah, Ika screamed. Mr. Jin. Holy shit. Usopp cried. Jin, Luffy cried. What happened? Where's your mask? Ugh. Gua. Jin gagged. Wait, Luffy realized. The mask that was thrown at me, that was yours? Then, Jin coughed up a large amount of blood before he collapsed. Jin, no. Past Sanji yelled. Ha 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 ha, laughed Don Krieg. What a fool he was. The sin of gratitude brought him to the state he's in, and all because of some food. You know what they say. Death is the only cure for idiots. Goo. Don. Krieg. Jin choked as tears fell from his eyes. Jin, past Sanji growled, you really chose the wrong man to follow. He sure did, Zoro said. How people can be so blindly loyal to somebody like him is way beyond me, Nami exclaimed. Krieg, you bastard, Luffy roared, furiously, which caused Don Krieg to laugh. Don't tell me you feel sorry for that worthless piece of trash, he shouted. Piece of trash? Past Sanji repeated, angrily. That's right, Don Krieg affirmed. A fool who lost sight of what was important and refused to obey my orders is of no use to me. How do I know he won't betray me, again? I'm doing him a favor, killing him like this. The only piece of trash around here is him, Frankie snarled. Seriously, Blizzard added with a vicious growl. Robin didn't even have any words for that. But the sight of seeing Don Krieg seeing his most loyal man as someone expendable, it just made her sick. One would think that after going through this for years, now, she'd be used to seeing this kind of cruelty. In all honesty, though, she still hated the sight of such things. He's such a horrible man, Ika shouted. Yeah, he's a big butthead, Kumi added. Kumi, Blizzard scolded. What? Kumi asked. Everybody's thinking it. The Krieg pirates gaped in disbelief, shocked that their own leader would want to kill his most loyal member. At that moment, Patty, Carne, and Zeph all came outside, once the gas had cleared up. Patty, Carne, past Sanji called. We need an antidote or something. What? Patty questioned. That's only for food poisoning, Sanji. And besides, that guy's our enemy and… Screw the details, past Sanji barked. Just get it, already. That won't work, Zeph exclaimed. Quickly, put that gas mask on his face. There should be some antitoxin in there. Then carry him up to the upper deck and make him breathe deep breaths. It's the only way to save him." "Old man," Past Sanji whispered. "Do you think that maybe he experienced something like that?" Brook asked while Paddy and Carne hurried to get Jin to the upper deck. "Jin," Luffy called as Past Sanji put the gas mask on Jin's face. "Don't die, got that?" "HMPH, Don Krieg scoffed. "You've got to be kidding. He won't live another hour." "Listen to me, Jin," Luffy said. "Don't let this jerk kill you. You have to live to spite him. I'll kick his ass for you, okay?" The Straw Hats only stood silently, once again brimming with pride at their captain's valor. No, Jin choked. Don't fight Krieg. You can't win." "Hey, hold on a minute," Past Sanji cried as he grabbed Luffy by his arm. "Don't be so hasty. If you just charge right in, you'll be playing right into his hands. He'll kill you." "Don't be stupid," Luffy said as the wind blew and he pulled his hand out of Past Sanji's grip. "I'm not gonna die on that." He charged ahead at full speed. "If you want to shoot me, then go ahead and shoot." "No, wait," Past Sanji called after that. "Come back." "There he goes," Zoro said. "Same old reckless Luffy," Nami muttered. "Ah, what can you do?" Sanji shrugged. "Look out, big brother," Aika cried. "Aika, you know he can't hear you," Kumi argued. "I can still warn him, can't I?" Aika questioned. "Hey," Don Krieg smirked. "What a fool he is. An enemy that's blinded by rage is an easy target if you ask me." "Don't say I didn't warn you," Past Sanji whispered. "I've heard that even a monkey can learn, kid," Krieg called out. "But you persist in your mistakes. A monkey seems smarter than you." "Maybe so," Luffy began, "but I don't give up so easily." "The ocean is your enemy, boy," Krieg yelled. "If you keep charging at me, you'll only be a target for my stakes. If you go beyond that fin, it'll be your funeral." "My funeral, huh?" Luffy asked as Don Krieg threw more of his bombs in the water, which caused the ocean to spray upwards. Luffy grunted as he was surrounded by the white foam of the ocean. And not long after, he yelped in pain when he felt those sharp stakes pierce into his left shoulder and his stomach. "Oh, no," Aika cried. "Wait, just keep watching," Sanji said as the memory continued, and although Luffy faltered for just a second, he quickly wrenched the stake out of his stomach before he continued to charge at Don Krieg, who did not seem fazed in the least. As Luffy stretched his arm way back behind him, the water around him dissipated, revealing Krieg holding up his spiky porcupine cape. "What the hell?" Usopp questioned. "He wouldn't," Frankie shouted. "Gum goom. Bullet!" Luffy roared as his fist slammed into Krieg's face, in spite of his knuckles getting stabbed by the spikes. "He would." Nami winced. Sanji shuddered as he held his own hands. Even now, seeing Luffy's fist get punctured like that sent chills down his spine. And not the good kind. "What happened?" Aika asked, her eyes once again covered. "You don't want to know," Robin answered with her arms crossed. "You know something?" Chopper asked. "I've always wondered about that scarring around Luffy's knuckles. Now I know where he got it from." All spectators were in disbelief at what they had just witnessed as Don Krieg collapsed from Luffy's punch. As Luffy stood, smirking confidently with the wind ruffling his hair, the Krieg pirates could only wonder what kind of man he was. Or if he was even human, for that matter. At that moment, Luffy, his fist practically pouring blood, reached up and yanked the stake out of his shoulder and tossed it to the remains of the Don Krieg's galleon. "So, is this still my funeral? Or yours?" Luffy asked, panting slightly as the adrenaline rush started to subside. "My funeral will take more than this. You may have a bunch of tricky weapons and a spiky cape and stuff. But I'm not gonna die, here." "Whoa," Aika whispered in awe, even though she couldn't really see, but she could tell her that her older half-brother was just brimming over with confidence. "That's our Luffy," Zoro smirked. "Yeah, defiant till the end," Usopp added. "Oh," Chopper exclaimed. "I don't think he's down, yet." Sure enough, Don Krieg began to pick himself up, wiping blood from his lip as he did. "If this isn't your place to die," he began as he stood up and held up his shoulder plate gun, "then whose is it, boy?" Luffy simply jumped over him before he stretched his leg out and kicked Don Krieg's shoulder, causing him to collapse, again. "Nope," he exclaimed. "It's still yours." In utter disbelief at what they were witnessing, their own captain being defeated, and by some monkey boy. The only ones who were actually enjoying it were the Straw Hats and the Bharati staff. The Krieg pirates just kept going on about how Krieg was finished and how his reputation of being the strongest pirate in the East Blue had been tarnished. But that only seemed to add more fuel to the fire. "Shut up, you pack of howling fools," Don Krieg yelled as he put the shoulder plates of his armor together. Then, he seemed to pull something out of it before he slammed it into the piece of flotsam, causing Luffy to yelp as he jumped into the air as a huge explosion emerged. "What was that?" Usopp questioned. "I don't know," Blizzard answered, but as the smoke cleared, it was revealed that Don Krieg was holding some kind of spear in his hands. "It's the mighty battle spear," exclaimed one of the Krieg pirates. "It's Don Krieg's strongest weapon." "An exploding spear?" Ika asked. "Whoa, that's not good," Kumi cried. Hee. Don Krieg snickered as he threw his coat off. "Let's see how long you can survive now. Anchor boy, you'll find this will give you more serious injuries than those stakes did." "What kind of spear is that?" Luffy asked. "It'll blow you to Kingdom Come," Don Krieg exclaimed as he threw the spear over his head, causing Ika to yelp as she covered her eyes, and not long after, Krieg slammed the spear into the piece of driftwood Luffy was holding onto, sending him flying through the air, once again, forcing him to grab onto another piece before he could fall into the water. As he attempted to get back up, however, he suddenly fell to his knees, much to his confusion. "What happened?" Kumi asked. "He's staggering, not good," Chopper cried. "Luffy's lost way too much blood. If he keeps this up, he'll be a goner." "And I think Luffy knows it, too," Nami added. Despite knowing he was at his limit, Luffy continued to push himself, jumping at Krieg, even as he kept swinging his mighty battle spear at him. Luffy did manage to dodge by latching onto the spear's handle, but that only made Krieg angrier. As Krieg prepared to skewer Luffy, the Straw Hats noticed that their captain had managed to strike the spear's blade every time it struck, but even then, Luffy still winded up getting caught in a huge explosion. There was even a time the memory blurred, showing that Luffy was almost unconscious, but even then, he still managed to pull through, despite the state he was in. When Luffy stood up again for the 5th time, the mighty battle spear's blade suddenly shattered into pieces. "Huh?" Don Krieg questioned in shock. "My mighty battle spear? What the hell did you do?" "Hey," Luffy smirked. "I just punched it in the head 5 times. It looks tired, maybe it needs a rest." "What?" Don Krieg questioned. "Without that blade," Luffy began, "it's nothing but a bomb on a stick, and that's pretty lame." "RRRRRGH. You son of a bitch," Krieg cursed. "Your stupid military might you keep babbling on about is just got cut in half," Luffy said. "Yeah," Ika cheered. "Way to go, big brother. But he's not out of the woods just yet," Frankie pointed out. "Is that really what you think, boy?" Don Krieg asked. "You've been badly injured before you took even 2 blasts from my mighty battle spear. All you're doing is bluffing, now." "I'm not bluffing," Luffy rebuked. "But Krieg's right," past Sanji whispered. "He's gotta be pretty busted up by now. If he gets hit by another explosion, he's sunk. It's no use. Krieg's just got too much firepower on him." "Maybe so," Zeph said, "but even a man that has weapons of mass destruction can't match that kid's heart." "His heart?" Ika asked. "He's talking about guts," Sanji said. "Sometimes, Ika, even in the face of adversity, your brother still had the grit to face death head on with little to no hesitation because he knows what he has to fight for. That's always something to think about in the pirate world, you understand?" Ika nodded in determination. "Yeah, I understand. If I ever fight, I won't hesitate, even if it kills me, just like Big Brother does." "Yeah, and neither will I," Kumi added. "Let's not get ahead of ourselves," Blizzard exclaimed. "You're still kids." "See what you went and started, now?" asked Zoro as he glared at Sanji. "I'm just trying to teach the kid a life lesson, alright?" Sanji asked. "Just give up, boy," Don Krieg yelled. "You were dead the moment you chose to challenge me." "We'll see about that," Luffy retorted as he blew a raspberry at him, which proceeded to further irritate Krieg. The boy leapt around him like the animal he got his surname from, swinging from the yardarms and even making monkey screeches, which made Ika and Chopper laugh. Don Krieg tried to make Luffy fall down by breaking the mast he was hanging from in half, and even tried to burn him with a flamethrower, but even then, Luffy still managed to avoid the attack in time, then delivered a powerful Gum Gum Gatling move. However, it didn't look like it made any effect on Krieg, due to the armor being made of wood steel. When Luffy tried to hit him in the stomach with a Gum Gum bullet, it still didn't seem to affect him. However, it made Luffy grunt in pain, and the memory blurred again as blood splurted from his bleeding shoulder. "Impudent boy," Don Krieg roared as he hit Luffy again with his might battle spear, the explosion sending him flying once more, then stood on top of the broken mast. "How pathetic are you? You really think your puny monkey fist could shatter the strongest armor in the world? My big brother can do anything, you big jerk," Ika shouted. "Monkey D. Ika," Robin scolded, causing the younger D carrier to cover her mouth. "Well, at least I didn't say that word that big brother always calls somebody," Ika muttered. Luffy groaned as he tried to stand up. "Just a few more, ought to do it." "He better finish this, quick," said Chopper, "he won't last much longer." "I think he knows that," said Zoro. "I am the world's strongest man, armed with the best weapons and equipment," shouted Don Krieg. "That, my boy, is military might." "Technically, Whitebeard was the world's strongest man," Nami whispered, causing the other Straw Hats to chuckle a bit. "Whoever opposes me dies," Don Krieg grinned before he threw more bombs at Luffy. The Bharati cooks cried out for him to run away, while the Krieg pirates cheered, thinking that this was the end for the boy who challenged their captain, who laughed in triumph. The strong always prevail. "And that would be me," Luffy declared as he charged, despite past Sanji warning him that it was a trap. "You fell for it, just like I knew you would," Don Krieg shouted as he tried to hit Luffy again with his battle spear, and that seemed to end it. "Your stubborn pride can't, huh?" Before he realized it, Luffy burst through the smoke, his forehead and nose bloodied from the blow, but he still had plenty of fire left inside him. Goom goom. Bazooka, Wabomb. Luffy's two hands struck Don Krieg in the stomach, knocking him off the mast, but even then, the cruel pirate armada captain laughed, believing he had won, and even mockingly praised him for managing to crack his armor. But then, Luffy jumped up after him again and struck him with another Gum Gum Bazooka attack, this time, shattering his armor, completely. "Yes," Ika cheered, "he did it, big brother did it." "It's not over yet," Sanji said. "What do you mean?" Brook asked, and as soon as he did, Krieg immediately sprung back to life before he captured Luffy in a giant iron net. "Ah, crap!" Luffy cursed. "Ha ha 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 ha," Don Krieg laughed. "You're finished, kid. That's the sea, beneath you. All I have to do is throw you in and you drown." "No," Ika cried. "I get the last laugh, just like I always do," Don Krieg yelled. But just when it seemed that victory was his, Luffy grunted as he managed to get his arms and legs free, then twisted his legs around Krieg by the face with his feet. "Got you," Luffy shouted. "This'll finish it, come on, big brother," Ika cheered. "You can do it." Goom goom. Giant hammer, Luffy roared before he threw Don Krieg into the destroyed fin of the Bharati, thus defeating him once and for all. However, Luffy ended up falling right into the ocean, despite his victory, and since he was so exhausted from the battle, he finally passed out, and the memory faded to black, once more. "Oh, no," Kumi cried. "He's gonna be okay, right?" Nami asked. "Don't worry, I jumped in and saved him at the last second," Sanji reassured. "Oh, thank goodness," Nami whispered in relief. "Still, that was unsettling," Chopper said. "I mean, that had to be the hardest fight Luffy ever had." "Don Krieg sure gave him a run for his money, that's for sure," said Zoro. "But he won in the end," Robin said, "and fought with great valor, as well," Brook added. "Yo-ho-ho-ho." "He did," Nami agreed. "But, he was going to have another really tough battle on his hands, soon enough." "What do you mean, big sis Nami?" Ika asked. "You'll see," Nami answered as a new image appeared. It showed Luffy sitting up in a cot with bandages and band-aids, one of which was dangling from his nose. "Ugh." Luffy groaned as he yanked the band-aid, then reached up to scratch his head, only to gasp when he did not feel his hat. "Oh, my hat? Where's my hat?" "It's right over there," answered past Sanji as he pointed to the nightstand, where Luffy's hat was sitting. Calm down. Oh, there it is, Luffy said in relief as he put it on his head. Whose room is this? Asked Nami. Mine, Sanji answered. That's for sure, Zoro said. Look at the pictures of naked women. Oh, crap, Sanji cursed before he covered Aika's and Kumi's eyes. Hey, they both cried. Hey, wait a minute, Sanji muttered as he looked around. I don't keep pictures of naked women in my room. Gotcha, Zoro smirked, causing the cook to lunge at him, and soon, the two began to brawl, once again. Hey, 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 cut it out, Frankie yelled. Guys, I can't hear, Usopp shouted before they all quieted down. So, did you have a nice nap? Past Sanji asked Luffy, who stretched his arms and yawned. Yeah, Luffy answered. I feel better. So, what happened to Krieg and the other guys? Gone, now, past Sanji answered, thanks to you. Ah, Luffy replied as past Sanji told him what happened after he had passed out. Apparently, Krieg tried to continue fighting, despite the fact that he was clearly out of his mind. So Jin, though still suffering from the effects of the MH5, punched Krieg in the stomach, thus knocking him out cold. He then piled his remaining crewmates on a dinghy and decided that they should start over from scratch. As Jin was about to leave, he told past Sanji how he admired Luffy for his courage in facing Krieg, despite being at a disadvantage, and also commended the Bharati staff for their valor in fighting for their restaurant. He told me, see you on the Grand Line, said past Sanji. Oh, Luffy exclaimed, he said he'll see you there? No, past Sanji barked. He meant you, idiot. Oh, Luffy realized before he beamed. Oh, yeah, I just remembered, I'm not a chore boy anymore, since I beat those pirates, right? The old man and I made a deal. Yeah, that's right, past Sanji said. You're off the hook. Sue, my offer still stands, Luffy replied. You gonna join me or what? Past Sanji sighed and shook his head. How many times do I gotta say it, man? He asked. I'm not joining your crew, no matter what you say. I'm staying here until that crap geezer acknowledges my cooking skills and that's that. A pause, before Luffy heaved a sigh. Fine, he muttered, I give up. Not. That means you let go, past Sanji cried as Luffy had stretched his arm and grabbed him by the back of his jacket collar, strangling him as he did. How persistent of him, Robin humored. Yeah, you know Luffy, Sanji said. Never took no for an answer. Don't I know it? Blizzard asked with a chuckle. Look, said past Sanji. I can't just up and leave, okay? These dumb asses don't know the first thing about running a restaurant. Luffy hummed as he sat on the railing. But someday, past Sanji began, I will go to the Grand Line. Then just come with us, now, Luffy exclaimed. I can't, past Sanji argued. It's just not the right time, don't you get it? I guess so, Luffy answered. You sure were set on staying there, weren't you? Asked Frankie. Yeah, I was, Sanji replied. I guess I was really stubborn, too. Hey, past Sanji grinned. Ever heard of this place called the All Blue? Nope, Luffy answered. You're kidding me, past Sanji exclaimed. That place is a cook's paradise. It's got fish from the North Blue, the South Blue, the East Blue, and the West Blue, and they say it's somewhere in the Grand Line. Really? Luffy asked. Wow, the All Blue, huh? Aika asked. Sounds pretty. I'm still searching for it, Sanji started, but I know it's out there, somewhere. And when I do, I'll make so many dishes with all the fish I find there, it'll blow your minds. Sounds yummy, Aika exclaimed. I can't wait, Gruorum. The Straw Hats looked up to see Luffy put his hand on his stomach, which grumbled quite loudly. Luffy groaned. I'm starving, fighting Don Krieg sure worked up an appetite. Man. That was loud, past Sanji muttered in surprise. Well, I'm just about to get started on making lunch soon. Come on, let's go eat. Yeah, food, Luffy cheered. Soon, the memory shifted, and Luffy and past Sanji were in the employee dining room with the rest of the staff. Unfortunately, the tables were all taken, so they had to sit on the floor to eat. Luffy noted how the cooks were acting a bit strange, but past Sanji assured him that it was nothing to worry about. Hey, Patty shouted. Who the hell made the soup, today? Oh, that was me, past Sanji answered. Pretty good, huh? I think I really outdid myself, this time. You kidding me? Patty questioned. It tastes like crap. He then threw the bowl of soup onto the floor. I wouldn't even feed this to a dog. Hey, I resemble that remark, Blizzard exclaimed. Me, too, Kumi added. Luffy just quietly sat down, eating his meal while Past Sanji growled in anger. Excuse me, Past Sanji asked. Maybe you don't really know what human food tastes like, you swine. Yeah, right, Patty countered. It takes real talent to taste something so foul, makes me sick just smelling it. What did you do? Put your dirty socks in here. Finally, some people with sense, Zoro humored. Hey, that's not fair, Aika exclaimed. Sanji worked really hard on that. Now hold on, there, said Sanji. Just keep watching. Not everything is what it seems, you know. Blech. Carne gagged. This stuff's nasty. Yeah, agreed another cook as he and several others spilled the soup on the floor and continued to say how disgusting it tasted, to Past Sanji's growing agitation. The finally straw, however, came when Zeph decided to say his piece, and when Past Sanji talked back, instead of kicking him with his peg leg, he punched him across the face. Ooh! Usopp winced. That had to hurt, Sanji. Why did he hit you? Chopper asked. Like I said before, Sanji answered. He was trying to beat some sense. He didn't want me wasting my dream, staying there at the Bharati. I mean, what if someone found the all blue before I did? I would have wasted my life for nothing. Zeph really was looking out for you, Nami smiled. I know, Sanji replied as he took a drag of his cigarette and blew out a puff of smoke. RRRRGH. Screw you people, Past Sanji cursed as he stormed out. However, once he did, the Straw Hats could hear the sound of Luffy, slurping up his soup. Yummy, he exclaimed. I don't know what all the fuss is about. This soup tastes awesome. Of course it's good, one of the cooks replied. Man, said another one of the cooks. Talk about a bad temper. We all know that Sanji's a great chef, said Zeph, but if we didn't do something like this, he just won't take a hint. He then looked over at Luffy. Hey, boy. Listen. Can you take Sanji to the Grand Line with you? That's where his dream is supposed to be. Idiots don't know that I heard them, Sanji chuckled. Take Sanji with me? Luffy answered. No way. Hua? The Bharati staff asked in disbelief. But I thought you said you need a cook on your crew, said Zeph. Is he not good enough for you, or something? It's not that, Luffy answered as he kept eating. I'd love to take Sanji and all, but I can't make him come with me if he doesn't want to go, and you guys can't really decide that for him. It's his decision to make. Hey, Nami whispered. I just realized, didn't Star say something like that about Luffy? Letting him decide his future? Holy crap, you're right, Sanji realized. Basically, Luffy feels like it's best if Sanji made the decision, himself, said Robin, not have others decide it for him. So you're saying you won't take Sanji with you unless he actually agrees to go? Zeph inquired. Yep, Luffy answered as he held up his plate. Hey, can I have some more? I suppose that's fair, said Zeph. But who knows if he'll ever agree to it? As you can see, Sanji began. I did. Just then, they heard a loud scream come from outside, and not long after, something burst through the wall, revealing it to be a large pan shark, with Yosaku sticking out of its mouth. Mr. Yosaku, cried Aika. What happened to him? Chopper asked. He was trying to chase after me, Nami answered. Yosaku? Luffy shouted as he ran up and pulled Yosaku out of the shark's mouth. Hey, are you okay? Talk to me, man. Be big bro Luffy. Grunted Yosaku. What happened? Luffy asked. Why are you by yourself? Where are Zoro and the others, and Nami? After a while, they managed to get Yosaku wrapped up in a blanket and gave him a hot meal. We couldn't catch big sis Nami, said Yosaku, but we could tell by the wake up the ship that we knew where she was headed. You did? Luffy asked. Well, then let's go get her. You don't understand, Yosaku answered. If we're right, she's gone to one unbelievable place. Nami felt her body tense up and she shivered slightly, which Aika took notice of before she went up and worriedly held her hand, causing the navigator to smile in assurance. Anyway, I'll tell you the details later, said Yosaku. We need your help, big bro Luffy. You gotta come with me. Sure, Luffy nodded. But, I don't get it. Actually, no, I think I get it. Let's get a move on. Hold up, huh? Luffy muttered as he turned to see past Sanji, who was leaning against a wall. "I'm going with you," he said, to everyone's surprise. You are?" Luffy asked. "Might as well, right?" asked past Sanji. "I mean, king of the pirates. All blue. They both sound like pretty foolish dreams. So I might as well chase mine with you. I'll come along as your crew's chef. So, we got a deal or what?" "Hell yeah," Luffy exclaimed. "Yahoo! This is great, big bro Luffy," cheered Yosaku as he and Luffy began to celebrate. Soon after, the memory shifted again, showing Luffy and Yosaku getting on board a shopping boat. Now, they were just waiting for past Sanji, and sure enough, he soon came walking outside with a rucksack over his shoulder. "You know, this almost seems like a rite of passage ceremony," Brook said. "You think so?" Sanji asked as he watched his past self walk toward Luffy and Yosaku, even as the Baratie staff stared at him, bitterly. Patty and Carnate tried to get a last-minute revenge shot at him by beating him with giant spoons, but they were easily taken care of. "Well," past Sanji said as he tossed his bag into the boat, "let's get going." "You mean you don't want to say goodbye before we leave?" Luffy asked. "Nah," past Sanji answered as he prepared to board the boat. And 3, 2, 1, Sanji counted down. "Sanji!" Zeph called from the upper deck, causing past Sanji to stop in his track. "You take care of yourself, hear me?" A pause. But then past Sanji's visible eye began to well up with tears and his lip quivered while Luffy smiled. "Chef Zeff," past Sanji sobbed as he turned around and bowed down on his hands and knees. "Thanks a lot, you old geezer. I'll never forget the things you did for me. Thank you." It appeared that the Baratie staff also shared his sentiment, for they had burst into tears, as well. Even Zeph was quietly weeping. "You shithead," Patty sobbed. "We're gonna miss you, damn it." "Yeah, what he said," Carnate cried. "Take care of yourself, Sanji." "We'll miss you, Sanji," the cooks bawled. "Goodbye." Past Sanji sniffled before he smiled at the people he had worked with for so long. "So long, you crappy idiots," he called out. "I'll miss you SBAGS." And with that, he, Luffy, and Yosaku sailed off, leaving the Baratie behind them, and not long after, the memory faded, once again. Luffy glanced up at his captor upon hearing that small hum. Cover sat before him, his wings tucked at his sides and a look of contemplation in his eyes. The dragon almost seemed bored. "Whatcha thinking about?" Luffy asked. "It comes off as odd to me," Cover said. "It seemed your crew was rather disrespectful of you." Luffy glared at the dragon upon hearing that. "The way they made those little jokes about your leadership," Cover continued. "Not to mention what Roronoa said about leaving you. I'm surprised that even then, you still had faith in them as you do now. Or do you?" "What do you mean?" asked Luffy. "You never told Roronoa about how you felt that night you overheard him talking about you. All this time, you kept it secret," Cover answered. "So tell me, why didn't you confront him?" "Because it was just like Sanji said," Luffy replied as he looked away. "There was no need to talk to him about it. He probably forgot about it since then, so what's the point of talking to him about it now? Besides, things are different." "Are they, really?" Cover asked. "You actually don't sound very sure." Luffy felt his mouth twitch and he knit his brow, causing Cover to chuckle. "I know what you're trying to do," Luffy said. "It's not gonna work. I still believe my friends will save me." "Go ahead and believe in them if you wish," Cover said, "but sooner or later, I will break you." "We'll see about that," Luffy hissed. XXX meanwhile, with the Straw Hats. "I sure missed a lot when I left, huh?" Nami asked. "Hey, Zoro and I did, too," Usopp added. "Man, that was crazy. Probably the hardest fight that Luffy's ever had in the East Blue." "Nah," Frankie disagreed. "Krieg only had the advantage because he had all those weapons on him. Luffy won simply because of pure grit, like old man Zeph said." "You think Big Brother has enough of that gritty stuff to keep fighting Cover until we find him?" Ika asked. "What?" Usopp asked. "PFF'd. Come on, Ika. This is Luffy we're talking about. Here, Cover doesn't stand a chance, okay?" "That's right," Blizzard replied. "Luffy won't lose so easily, we all know that. And once we find him, we'll be at his side to help him if he needs us," Robin added. Hearing that caused Aika to smile warmly before she nodded her head. That's when a new memory appeared before them. It showed Luffy, past Sanji, and Yosaku in their shopping boat. For some reason, though, they were being pulled by a giant sea cow. "Hey, it's Momu," Nami exclaimed. "Mohu?" Aika asked. "Momu's the mascot of the Arlong Pirates," Nami said. "You know, I haven't seen him since our voyage to Fishman Island. I wonder where he is now." "How come he's pulling your boat?" Usopp asked. "Because Luffy and I gave him a walloping," Sanji answered, casually. "I was just trying to feed the thing, but apparently, he wanted to eat both the food and us." "Did you really have to be that rough with him?" Nami asked. "Seriously, Momu isn't that vicious, at times. He's actually a big sweetheart." "You know, it's weird, though," Sanji said. "Why are we being shown this part? I could have sworn there was a lot more before it." Yosaku was even talking about Jimbei and the 7 warlords. "Well, you know how Luffy is," Usopp said. "Maybe he didn't think it was very important, so he didn't pay much attention." "Or maybe," Robin began, "we're just skipping some memories in order to get to the more important things. At least, in Luffy's mind." "Hey, look!" Chopper exclaimed as he pointed at something up ahead. "It's Sabaody Park." The Straw Hats all looked up upon hearing that exclamation. But upon getting a closer, they saw why the young doctor would make that mistake. It was a red and yellow tower of some kind, at least several stories in height, and it bore a flag of what looked like a saw-toothed shark with crossbones behind it. Upon seeing that mark, Nami's eyes went wide and her body began to tremble. Sweat formed on her brow and her heart raced, which caused the Straw Hats to look at her in concern. "Nami?" Usopp asked. "Big sis?" Aika asked, worriedly. "What's wrong?" Nami didn't answer, but instead felt a darkness come over her as she grabbed at her shoulders, shuddering as she suddenly felt very cold. "That's right. You remember it, don't you? Shahahahahahaha? No, no," Nami whispered with tears forming in her eyes. "Nami?" Nami gasped as she turned around, only to find that she was not in the darkness like before, but back with the Straw Hats, who all blinked at her, worriedly, except for Zoro, who glared at her, not out of coldness, but more out of stoic support. "He tried to get to you, didn't he?" the swordsman asked. "Yeah," Nami whispered, feeling ashamed of herself, but then she shook herself. "But I know he can't hurt me anymore." "We're in Cover's realm, remember," said Robin. "Here, he is the master. He can still take advantage of us. It's up to us to be strong." "Robin's right," Brook added. "Let's just power through this, understand?" "Right." Nami nodded. "There it is," Luffy exclaimed. "Arlong Park, dead ahead." "Arlong Park?" Kumi asked. "So it's like an amusement park?" Aika inquired. "No, girls," Nami answered. "It was inspired by an amusement park, but it's anything but." At that moment, Momu began to groan in exhaustion. "Hey," Luffy ordered the poor sea beast. "Don't you slow down, got that?" "It's gotta be tired by now," said Yosaku, given how much Big Bro Sanji's cook affected it. "Wow," Blizzard muttered. "I'm sure glad Luffy doesn't treat me that way." Suddenly, Momu turned away from Arlong Park and started heading for the shoreline, instead. Hey, hold up," Luffy shouted. "You're going the wrong way." But Momu did not pay heed to his words anymore. "Oh, dear God," Sanji muttered with dread. "I know what's coming next." "What do you mean?" Blizzard asked, but he soon got his answer when Momu braked to a stop right at the shore and sent Luffy, past Sanji, and Yosaku flying like a slingshot. "Whoa!" they all cried. "Woohoo!" Luffy cheered. "Ha ha ha ha! This is just like flying." "It's not like flying," Yosaku argued. "We really are flying, you moron," past Sanji yelled. "Oh, that's what you meant," Blizzard muttered while the present Sanji shuddered. "Oh, crap." Zoro cursed in realization. "I know what comes after this." Not long after, gravity began to take hold and the boat fell into the forest and began to slide along the ground. "All right," Luffy exclaimed. "Landing complete." "How is this a landing?" past Sanji questioned. "Seriously, how did you guys even survive?" Frankie asked. "That looks like fun," Aika exclaimed. "It's kinda like riding on a roller coaster." "Don't remind me," Brook muttered with dread. At that moment, Luffy spotted something, or rather, someone up ahead, and once spotted that green hair, he instantly recognized that it was past Zoro. "Hey, look, it's Zoro," Luffy exclaimed. 3, 2, 1, Zoro counted down. Just as the boat collided with his past self. "Gah!" Past Zoro cried. "Damn it, Luffy, what the hell?" "Ahahahaha. Good to see you, too," Luffy replied, not really noticing his anger. "Ooh. That had to hurt," Usopp winced. "He's lucky I didn't kill him, right then and there," Zoro grumbled. Before too long, the group ended up crashing right into a cliff face, and once the dust settled, Luffy just stood up and dusted off his clothes. "Well, here we are," Luffy said. "Hum. Robin chuckled in amusement. That Luffy, always making such big entrances. Nami only sighed and shook her head. "What am I gonna do with him?" she asked. "RRRGH. Damn it," past Zoro cursed as he pulled himself out of the wreckage. "What the hell do you idiots think you're doing?" "I'm surprised Zoro actually managed to survive that," Chopper said. "Wasn't he still hurt?" "You know Zoro," Usopp shrugged. "Even when he's got a life-threatening injury, he's still a beast." "What was that?" Zoro asked with a glare. "Oh, come on, a compliment, calm down, will ya?" "What do you mean, Zoro?" Luffy asked. "We came to bring Nami back." "Wait, you didn't find her, yet? And where are Usopp and Johnny?" "Usopp!" Past Zoro cried as he stood up. "Damn it, I almost forgot. We don't have time, standing around here." "Why, what's the problem?" Luffy asked. "He's been captured by Arlong," past Zoro answered, "and if we don't hurry, he's gonna get killed." "Wait, what?" Luffy questioned. "You got caught by Arlong?" Chopper asked. "What happened?" It was a bit of an accident," Usopp replied. "You see, I was trying to hide from Arlong's fishman crew when all of a sudden, I see this guy getting picked on by Arlong, himself, all because he had a hidden weapon on his person. So, I decided to help him out. Even though I was scared out of my head." "But you still stood up to him, right?" Kumi asked. "Yeah, Usopp," Ika exclaimed. "Even though you were scared, you still stood up for that guy." "Thanks, girls," Usopp said. "Unfortunately, I couldn't really outrun him, so I got caught. But it was thanks to your big sis that I managed to get away." "Barely," Nami answered. "I had to make it look convincing for Arlong, or who knows what could have happened." "Still, thanks a lot, Nami," said Usopp. "No problem," Nami smiled. "Besides, you saved old man Genzo. It's the least I could do." "He's dead," a voice suddenly spoke, causing everyone to look up to see Johnny, who had a grim look on his face. "What?" past Zoro questioned with shock and horror. "What are you talking about, Johnny?" "It's too late," Johnny answered. "Big bro Usopp. He's dead, big sis Nami killed him." All color left Luffy's face upon hearing that. "No way. No way, there's just no way, there's no way Nami would do that." "Oh, Luffy," Nami whispered, sadly. "Wait a minute, hold up there," said Frankie. "If Nami killed Usopp, how come he's still here?" "Yes, I find it strange," Brook said. "Wait," Chopper said before he turned to Usopp with a horrified expression. "Are you a zombie?" "No, I'm not," Usopp yelled, and Zoro, Sanji, and Blizzard tried not to snicker. "Let me explain. You know how I said that Nami saved me from Arlong? That's how she faked killing me so I could escape." "Really?" Ika asked. "Oh, good," Chopper sighed in relief. "So he's not a zombie." "Liar," Luffy hissed as he grabbed Johnny by the collar of his jacket, the memory beginning to turn red as he did so. "You're lying." "But it's true. I saw it with my own eyes," Johnny argued as he pushed Luffy away, then sat on the ground. "Big sis Nami. She's nothing but a cold-hearted witch. She's been going behind our backs, all this time, in order to get some kind of hidden treasure here in Kokoyashi Island. She's been in cahoots with Arlong, and just for that, she killed Big Bro Usopp without even a hint of remorse. Don't you get it? She stabbed us in the back." "Shut up," Luffy hissed as he grabbed Johnny and began to shake him violently. "Shut up, shut up, shut up. You say that again, and I'll kill you, you bastard." Nami's eyes went wide, feeling a pang of guilt in her stomach. Even back then, he still defended her integrity. "Luffy, stop it," past Zoro barked. "Leave Johnny alone. This doesn't have anything to do with him." "I know you don't want to believe me, and you don't have to," Johnny shouted. But I saw it, myself. Liar, Luffy barked. You're making crap up. Why the hell would Nami want to kill Usopp? She's our friend, damn it. All right, that's enough, past Zoro yelled as he pulled Luffy away from Johnny. Luffy, come here, we need to talk. But Zoro, Luffy started. Luffy, for God's sake, past Zoro interjected. Don't you get it? Nami's bad news? She stabbed us all in the back. Why should we take her back, now? I told you why, Luffy answered. I chose her to be my navigator, I don't want anyone else. Luffy, I'm starting to think that you don't just want her to be our navigator, past Zoro replied. If I didn't know better, I'd almost say that you. His eyes then went wide. Wait a minute. You didn't fall for her, did you? Luffy didn't answer. But a blush appeared on his cheeks and the Straw Hats could hear his heart pounding again, and that only caused past Zoro to facepalm in disbelief. Oh, hell. He groaned in disdain. You figured out he was in love with me? Nami asked. If anything, it was a lucky guess, said Zoro. Still, I was surprised that he knew what I meant. Who's your friend, Luffy? A familiar voice asked. But it sounded cold and icy. The group turned. And they saw past Nami, glowering at them with this distant and cold look in her eyes. For some strange reason, though, her hand was bandaged up. Big sis Nami? Aika asked, worriedly. Why do you look like that? Please don't hate me, Nami whispered. Nami, it's you, Luffy exclaimed, happily, which caused the memory to turn pink as his heart began beating again. But past Nami looked away from him, which caused the memory to return to normal color. Why the hell are you here? She asked. What do you mean, why are we here? Luffy asked as he went to pick up his hat, which had fallen off during his argument with Johnny. We're friends, remember? We came to get you, now come on. You're really annoying, you know that? Past Nami asked, coldly. Huh? Luffy muttered in confusion. And Nami, friends? Us? Past Nami asked. Don't make me laugh, you idiot. You're more like unwitting cooperators to me. Nami, Chopper asked, worriedly. How cruel, Brook whispered. Why were you being so mean? Frankie asked. I didn't want to, Nami answered. I was just trying to protect them from Arlong. You see, Usopp began as he put his hand on Nami's shoulder, as you all know. Nami's mom was killed by Arlong. And, because of that, Nami was too scared to see someone else die on her behalf. She was totally convinced that we didn't stand a chance against Arlong or his crew. That's why she put on that act. She was trying to drive us away. But I didn't count on one thing. Nami spoke before she smiled. Luffy's determination. You bitch, Johnny yelled. I saw everything. I saw you kill big bro Usopp. And, past Nami asked, uncaringly. What are you gonna do? Kill me? As for the past group, however, they all stared at past Nami, stunned beyond belief. But Luffy was the only one who remained unflinching. Something's wrong. Nami's lying right through her teeth. Nami gasped silently upon hearing Luffy's thoughts. But she wasn't too surprised. Luffy was just that intuitive. I'll tell you this much, said past Nami. Arlong's after Roronoa Zoro's head after he did something stupid. What did Zoro do? Aika asked. Oh, he just attacked some of Arlong's men, Nami answered. Sure, Arlong's a cold, bloodthirsty killer who hates humans. But even he cares for his crew more than anything. He was about ready to slaughter everybody on the island. It figures, Sanji muttered as he looked over at Zoro. Why don't you ever think things through? Blizzard asked. Oh, shut up, Zoro barked. If anything, it's Nami's fault for even setting me free. Shish, Chopper shushed. Guys, look. Listen, said past Nami. You guys may have the strength of monsters, but you're nothing compared to the real ones. If you stick around long enough, the fishmen will kill you. Not that it's any concern to me. You bitch. Past Zoro sneered, while past Sanji was swooning. Ah. Such a cold look. And yet it's so charming, he said. Hey, beautiful, remember me, it's your beloved Sanji. She doesn't love you, stupid. Wait, where'd that come from? Well, that's one way to kind of light up a mood, said Usopp. Hey, you stay out of this. Got that? Past Zoro pointed at past Sanji. You're just gonna make things more complicated. What the hell did you say? Past Sanji questioned. Listen here, bastard, my love is like a hurricane. Wait. What does that mean? Aika asked. You and your older, Sanji answered. Hey, Nami, past Zoro asked as he turned away from past Sanji. Hey, don't turn your back on me, the cook shouted. Where's Usopp? The swordsman asked. At the bottom of the sea, past Nami answered, showing no emotion whatsoever. Why you? Past Zoro hissed as he drew his sword. Cut the crap, already. On that, he charged for her, only for past Sanji to get in the way. So now swordsmen go after women, too? Past Sanji asked as he tried to kick past Zoro in the face, only to miss. What the hell are you talking about? Past Zoro questioned. You don't even know what's going on, so stay out of this. Hey, past Sanji smirked. Well, after you suffered such a loss, I can't say I blame you for being so irritable. Hearing that caused past Zoro to growl in even more anger. Okay, I admit it, Sanji said. I went way too far that time. I'll say you did, Zoro sneered. That felt like a damn punch to the gut. You got some nerve, cook, past Zoro hissed. Why don't you mind your own business? Asked past Sanji. Hey, Yosaku cried. Let's not fight here, you guys. He's right, said past Nami. If you're gonna fight, then do it somewhere else. Anywhere that's not on this island. You guys are nothing but outsiders who are sticking your noses where they don't belong. Don't you get it by now? I used you guys to get treasure and nothing else. Now that I've taken every last berry you guys have, then I don't need you anymore. Just go back to your damn barge and find another navigator to take you all to the Grand Line. Go find the One Piece or whatever. She then pointed her bow staff at them. Just get off this island and stay away. Johnny and Yosaku both growled angrily at her, while Luffy just stared at her, blankly. Even though the memory turned slightly blue, which caused Nami to hold a hand to her chest while past Nami lowered her head, covering her eyes with her bangs. Goodbye, she whispered while the Straw Hat members who didn't know of the events stood with bated breath. Nami. Luffy whispered, softly. Despite the color being blue, he did not sound sad or shocked at all. Then, out of nowhere, he closed his eyes and fell to the ground on his back, to everyone's surprise. Be big bro Luffy, what are you doing? Johnny asked. I'm tired, Luffy answered. I'm gonna take a nap. What? Johnny questioned. A nap? Right here and now, in the middle of the road like this? Yosaku asked. Yup, Luffy affirmed before he gave a yawn. I really don't feel like leaving the island, so I'm gonna take a nap, now. Big bro. Johnny whispered while Yosaku's jaw gaped in disbelief and past Zoro only facepalmed, once again. As for past Nami, she looked absolutely pissed. Fine then, she barked. Go ahead and do whatever. In fact, you can die, for all I care, on that, she turned and stormed off. You can say what you want, Nami, but I know that you're lying, and I'm not leaving until I find out why. On that, the memory faded to black, once again. You know, I just realized, Usopp began. Doesn't this seem familiar to you guys? Familiar? How? Zoro asked. I think what Usopp means, Blizzard began, is that this situation is similar to what happened to Sabo. Right, Blizzard, Usopp agreed. Luffy and Ace never went to take Sabo back with them because they thought he'd be better off, but because they didn't, Sabo left their home and was shot down at sea. So you're saying that Luffy didn't leave because he knew that if he didn't, he'd lose me? Nami asked. Perhaps, Robin mused. Of course, Luffy had no way of knowing the situation you were actually in. Come to think of it, Sanji said, Luffy always seems to act this way whenever we act like we don't want his help, because he knows when we're lying. Wow. Aika whispered. Big brother has such good instincts. USOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooHey, up, bloody and beaten. What happened? Did Nami do this to you? More like a certain swordsman and cook, Usopp glared at the two in question, causing them sweat drop. Sorry, they both apologized as they pointed to each other. It was his fault. That's when they glared at one another. What did you say? Soon, the squabbling commenced. Guys, be quiet, Nami shouted, we can't hear them. I'll stop him, Frankie said before he took Zoro and Sanji by their heads and bonked their skulls together. Ow! They yelled. Knock it off, you idiots, Frankie barked. Thank you, Frankie, Nami nodded. Ugh. Past Usopp groaned as he finally regained consciousness. Luffy? You're here. Yeah, I got here a while ago, Luffy replied. And I'm here, too, past Sanji waved. Hi. I'll kill you, you bastard, past Usopp yelled. Wait a minute, past Zoro called. I thought Nami killed you, Usopp. Stupid Johnny. Luffy exclaimed. He was spouting nonsense that entire time. Now wait a minute. Past Usopp spoke. Things aren't exactly what they seem, here. What do you mean? Luffy asked, and soon, past Usopp explained how past Nami had saved him from Arlong's wrath by pretending to kill him, but actually stabbing her own hand to make it seem like she stabbed him, then told him to fall back into the pool so that he could escape, and Arlong would be none the wiser. Wait, that's why your hand was bandaged? Aika asked. It hurt, Nami said as she rubbed her hand, but not as much as the thought of seeing Luffy and the others get hurt, or worse. Basically, if Nami pissed off Arlong, Sanji began, she'd make him regret by killing someone close to her. Aika gasped silently in horror. That's why I tried so hard to push Luffy and the others away, Nami said. I couldn't stand the thought of Arlong killing any of them. I really thought they didn't stand a chance against him. But Big Brother is so strong, Aika exclaimed. You know that, Big Sis Nami. I know that, now, honey, Nami answered. So now what do we do? Past Zoro asked. Storm Arlong Park and take Nami back? And now, hold up. Past Usopp exclaimed. I think we should ask Nami for a better explanation before we think up a plan. Don't bother, it's useless. Nami gasped silently upon hearing that familiar voice, and soon, the group looked up to see it was none other than Nijiko. Nami exclaimed as she saw her older adopted sister, staring down at the past Straw Hats. Who's that? Aika asked. My big sister, Nijiko. Nami answered. Well, I guess that would also make yours, too, sweetie. She then smiled. Wow. I wonder how she's doing, nowadays. Wow. Aika exclaimed. I have 3 big sisters, how cool is that? Why does that not surprise me? Kumi asked. No matter what you guys try to do, Nijiko began. Arlong cannot be stopped. Just give up. Nijiko. Past Usopp exclaimed. It's you? What do you mean, it's useless? Inquired past Zoro. Look, Nijiko began, for your own good, stop sticking your nose in this village's business. Just leave Nami here. I'll tell you why that it is. Why that is? Past Sanji asked. You mean there's a reason why Nami's with the fishmen? Asked past Usopp. That's right, said Nijiko. Once I tell you, you have to leave. Okay, past Usopp answered. So what is it then? I'm gonna pass on this, Luffy said as he turned and walked away. I don't care what her past was. If Nami wanted me to know, she can tell me herself. Nami gasped silently at this. Luffy. She whispered as she put a hand on her chest, which caused the other Straw Hats to smile at her. Hey, Luffy, where y'all going? Past Sanji asked. On a walk. Luffy answered before the memory shifted, revealing Luffy sitting against a tree, and for some reason, he seemed to be deep in thought, which was rather for him. He hummed. A pinwheel. He then smirked. I think I just thought of a cool new move. Pinwheel, Brook repeated. What kinda nonsense is he blathering about now? Blizzard asked. Mount going to a festival or something? Aika inquired. I know I've seen them whenever we had a festival at my island. All of a sudden, there was a loud commotion going about, catching everyone's attention. Huh? What's that? Luffy asked as he got up to go and look. As soon as he arrived in the middle of town, he saw a large crowd had gathered, and among them was Nami's father figure, Genzo, who was holding Nijiko, whose arm was bleeding for some reason. Doctor, he called out. Someone, get a doctor, quick. What happened? Asked a man in the crowd. It's Nijiko, she's been shot, Genzo answered. Shot? What do you mean, shot? Asked someone else. By whom? The Marines did it, said Genzo, grimly. What? The townsfolk questioned in shock. What? Aika questioned. Big sis Nijiko got shot, why? It was Arlong's fault, Nami hissed with great hatred, he stabbed me in the back. What did he do? Aika asked. He bribed the Marines, Sanji began, just as furious as Nami, and had them take away all the treasure she collected over the years working for him so that he could make her work for him forever. No matter how many times Nami would try, Usopp started, also sharing the same anger. Arlong intended to keep Nami with him until she was no longer useful to him. In other words, until the day she died. Aika and Kumi both gasped in horror before they looked up at Nami, who looked away from the memory and bit her lip. How dreadful, Brooke whispered with a look of great disgust. Such a horrid, despicable person. This Arlong. How dare he take advantage of Miss Nami's heart, like that? That damn shark bastard, hissed Frankie, while Blizzard growled viciously in agreement. Robin looked over at Nami, whose entire body was trembling. She sympathized with her, all too well, for it was just like when Spandam betrayed her trust. She gave up being with the Straw Hats, and Spandam never intended to honor his promise with her. Arlong reminded her too much of him. At that moment, Luffy noticed past Nami, who was seething with rage at this point upon seeing her sister injured. I'm fine, said Nijiko. Really, I am. What happened to her? Asked one of the townspeople. Arlong's in league with the Marines, said Genzo. They stabbed Nami in the back. He never intended to honor his word to her. Upon hearing that, it was the townsfolk's turn to get angry. I don't believe it. That bastard Arlong. How could he do this to poor little Nami like that? At that moment, Nami stood up, gently removing Nijiko's head from her lap. Wait, Nami. The doctor muttered. Hey, Nami. Luffy greeted as he walked up to her, seemingly not noticing her anger. What's going on? Maybe I can help. You're still here? Past Nami asked with a vicious glare in her eyes, causing Luffy to freeze right in his tracks. Uh-oh, she's all scary again. Before he could protest, past Nami grabbed Luffy by the collar of his vest and pulled him towards her face, causing him to yelp in fright. I thought I told you to mind your damn business, she yelled. Get off this island, already. On that, she tossed Luffy aside and ran off while he blinked after her. Then he got up, dusted himself off, and sat under the tree, again. Geez. What the hell did I do? He asked with a pout. The Straw Hats didn't speak, but they knew they didn't have to. They knew that something intense was about to happen here. As they kept watching, past Zoro, past Usopp, and past Sanji all appeared and sat around outside at the edge of town. They didn't speak a single word. It was almost eerie, as if they knew that they were waiting for something like this to happen. Eventually, after what seemed like hours, the group saw a crowd beginning to grow on the streets, armed with all manner of weapons. Swords, pitchforks, shovels, guns, you name it. It almost as if these people were about to go to war. A war that they knew that they had no chance at winning. Those bastards have gone too far, now, Genzo shouted. 8 years ago, they came to our humble village, and we swore that no matter what, we would never give up our lives. No matter how badly those S-bags treated us, as long as Nami was treated all right, then we would continue to endure. Well, no more. That damned Arlong betrayed Nami, and now, there's no freedom for us. And not just that, but he took advantage of that poor girl's kindness. And even killed her poor mother. Any objections? Soon, the townsfolk began to yell. Hell no, we've been waiting for this moment. We're not gonna take their crap anymore. What are we waiting for? Let's get him. No, wait. Everyone turned to see past Nami, who had this forced smile on her face. Please, it's fine, she tried to assure them. I can just steal the money all over again. No matter how long it takes, please. Just wait a little longer. The Straw Hats couldn't help but feel their hearts go out to their navigator. Even her present self couldn't help feeling like she wanted to hug her. She looked like a woman who had resigned herself to her fate. All because she didn't want to see the people she loved get killed. It was enough to break their hearts. Theirs and the hearts of the villagers. Even Nijiko could see the pain in her sister's face. It'll be a little easier for me, this time, said past Nami. You'll see, I've gotten more experienced, now. Really, I'm okay. Compared to back then, I'm really fine, you don't have to worry about me. Stop it, Genzo ordered, causing past Nami to gasp silently. Before he went up and pulled her into a firm hug. That's enough, Nami. We get it. You've tried your best to fight as hard as you could, but it just wasn't enough. You suffered for our sake. Joining Arlong must have hurt more than cutting your own hand. Old man General. Past Nami whispered, her voice beginning to break. Now, Genzo began. Get off this island. What? Past Nami questioned. But Genzo. Be quiet, Nami, Najiko ordered. He's right. Go find that straw hat guy and leave. No, past Nami argued with tears in her eyes. I can't leave you guys. It's okay, Nami, Najiko assured. You're a smart girl. And you've got a big dream ahead of you. We're not gonna let you waste it. Shut up, past Nami yelled as she stood in front of the mob, pointing a knife at them with shaky hands. I won't let you, I don't want anyone else to die for my sake. Not like how Belmir did. She then sniffled as she tried to fight back her tears. Please, don't do this, you'll all be killed. A pause. Before Genzo grabbed the knife by the blade, cutting his own palm. We know, Nami, he said with great resignation in his voice. Don't try to stop us, said the doctor. We already decided on this. Past Nami gaped as tears fell from her eyes. Get out of our way, Nami, Genzo yelled, causing her to stumble out of their path. Let's go everyone. Even if we die, we'll still show those bastards what we're made of. Yeah, everyone cheered as they followed Genzo, leaving past Nami behind, completely stunned. She soon dropped to her knees and the knife fell out of her hands. Tears cascaded down her cheeks. And she seethed furiously as she looked at her left shoulder, where the tattoo of Arlong's Jolly Roger was placed. She grabbed at it, digging her nails into the skin, as if wanting to rip it right off the bone. RRRGH, she shrieked as she grabbed the knife and began to stab her shoulder, over and over. Arlong. Arlong, Arlong. As the present-day Straw Hats watched, Aika's eyes were welling over with tears. She sniffled as she watched her older sister figure's past self continuously hurt herself. It was more than she could take. Soon, Nami grabbed Aika and pulled her into a tight hug, allowing the girl to sob into her shoulder. Chopper and Kumi weren't too far off, either. They were both being hugged by Blizzard while they openly cried for their poor navigator. As for the others, they were trying their damnedest not to veer. Just then, a hand reached out and grabbed past Nami's wrist, just as she was about to stab herself again, causing her to look up and see that it was Luffy, who stared at her with a blank expression. Luffy, she whispered before she pulled her hand away. What do you want? You don't know anything about this. You know what's been happening on this island for the past 8 years? Nope, I don't, Luffy said, bluntly. This has nothing to do with you. Past Nami said, still trying to put up that cold facade she tried to put on, earlier. I told you to leave this place. Yep, you sure did, Luffy replied, again. So leave, past Nami yelled as she began to blindly throw sand at him. But the Straw Hats knew that she was just venting her frustrations. I told you to leave, get out of here. Get out of here, now. Go away, go. Go. But Luffy stayed. While past Nami sobbed, like the broken girl that she was, deep inside. She had lost everything. Her mother, her treasure. And now, she was going to lose her sister, father figure, and all her beloved neighbors. She was truly someone who had run out of options. Luffy, she whispered before she looked back with teary eyes and a runny nose. Help me. A pause. But then Luffy took his hat off and placed it upon past Nami's head. Of course, he said as he walked past her. That's what friends do. He then took in a deep breath. He's gonna pay. Luffy. Past Nami whispered in surprise as she held his hat in fingers, which caused Aika to glance up at the present Nami, who stared at the memory with renewed vigor. Then, the younger D-carrier took Luffy's hat off of her head, then nudged Nami with it, causing her to look down at her and smile before she put it on her head. Thank you, sweetie, Nami whispered, causing Aika to smile up at her. Soon, Luffy walked toward past Zoro, past Usopp, and past Sanji. Let's go, he spoke, causing them to come to full attention. Right, they exclaimed before they soon joined his side and all went on the march, like 4 men on the warpath. No words had been spoken between the 4. But none were needed. They knew that their friend had been dealt a great injustice, and now it was up to them to make it right. This was the true moment. The moment they had really become the Straw Hat Pirates. It was then that they had all arrived at Arlong Park, where Genzo, Najiko, and the angry mob had gathered at the gate. For some reason, Johnny and Yosaku were there, as well, but it looked like they had gotten roughed up rather badly. Obviously, they had taken Arlong and his crew, but lost. Stand aside, Luffy demanded, causing everyone to step aside and let him and others pass. Then, Luffy stretched his arm back before he punched down the doors of the gate, causing it to fall over. "All right," Luffy said as he stood up. "Now, which one of you is Arlong?" The fishmen all glared at the intruder. But then, a certain one spoke up from his lawn chair, not even bothering to give Luffy a glance. "Arlong?" he asked. "That just so happens to be my name." "So, he's Arlong, huh?" Blizzard asked with a growl. "There's no good in him." Aika hissed with such anger, that it was almost unusual for her. "Nothing redeemable about him, at all." "Are you sure?" Brook asked. "He looks a bit laid back to me." "Trust me," said Sanji. "Arlong's not somebody to be underestimated." "The name's Luffy," Luffy said as he walked toward the sawtooth shark fishman. "Luffy?" Arlong repeated. "And just who are you?" "A pirate," Luffy answered. "Oh, it's him," exclaimed a familiar 8-armed octopus fishman. "The guy who likes to take walks." "Oh, Hachi," Nami muttered. "Who?" asked Aika. "One of Arlong's men," Nami answered, "but honestly, he's the only who ever treated me with any kindness. I never really hated him." "Hold it right there," called one of the fishmen as he and one of his friends attempted to cut Luffy off. "That's far enough, pal." Luffy only glared before he slammed both their heads together and shouted, "Get the hell out of my way." Once they were knocked out, he continued to walk toward Arlong. "And just what does a pirate want with me?" asked Arlong. But he soon got his answer when Luffy reeled his fast back and then punched him right across the jaw, causing him to be sent flying across the park and crash into a wall, much to the shock of the other fishmen. Before too long, Arlong managed to pull himself out of the rubble before he glared at Luffy. "Who the hell do you think you are?" he questioned, which caused Luffy to scowl at him. "That's for making my navigator cry," he shouted.